स्थापितं स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथां वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावभूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णा चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। सर्व शास्त्राभि पीयूष सर्व वैदिक सत्फल सर्व सिद्धांत रत्नाध्य सर्व लौकिक दृक्प्रद सर्व भागवत प्राण श्रीमद् भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतिदादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते मद एक बंधु मद संगीन मद गुरु मद महाधन मद निष्ठारक मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधु तादा इन अति नीचता करा हाना मुंचा कदाचिन्मा प्रेम न हृत कंथयो स्पुरः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी शृणुतां सुकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम हृदयन्तस्तु अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। So thank you everyone for joining. So my voice is okay, clear? Can you hear me okay? Yes, okay. Okay. So let's continue our discussion on third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are going to discuss chapter number 3 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So before we start, would anyone like to share any points you remember from chapter 2? So we have a review and then we can draw the connection to chapter 3. What did we discuss in chapter 2? Maybe someone can share quickly. And also please turn on your video cameras if you can.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, in chapter 2, remembrance of Lord Krishna, it's a very, very nice chapter. And the main, everything is good, but I think I remember this 21 text, sloka is a 333. It's a significant of number 3.
Right.
It's a very good explanation. And you also said, and so it's very nice. I like that one.
Wonderful.
Hare Krishna.
So that the Lord is called Triya Adishaha. That he's a Lord of 3, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Okay. What is the broader picture of chapter 2?
Uddhava is remembering Krishna's attractive beauty, and then Krishna's mercy and his bewildering activities, how he, the contradictory activities of Krishna. And then he starts to, instead of just going straight to the Moshala Leela, he wants to delve into the other pastimes. He starts with Krishna being born in the prison of Kamsa and is going through all the Leela of Vrindavan. And then this chapter is going to do the other pastimes.
Nice, very nice. Thank you for drawing the flow. So that's what I was looking for. So in this chapter, we are reading this conversation between Uddhav and Vidura. And in the previous chapter, in chapter 1, towards the end, Vidura had, asked about the disappearance pastimes of the Yadus. And because when he was at Prabhashetra, he heard about it. And he asked in an indirect way, that because he was, hoping that maybe that's not true, but in his heart he knew that this actually happened. So he asked in an indirect way. And then we read in chapter 2 how Uddhav, he actually starts describing, before he starts, because he's actually absorbed in the remembrance of Lord Shri Krishna, for one muhurat, he actually cannot speak. Right? And we read about the ecstatic symptoms of Uddhava, showing the glorious position of Uddhava. And we see this theme again and again in Bhagavatam. Before we are seeing a conversation between the two people, we actually see the glories of these two personalities to actually make the point that the Bhagavatam, all the conversations in the Srimad Bhagavatam are actually between the most exalted devotees, and hence the conversations are most relishable, right? So we read about Uddhav's glories, and then after that, Uddhav starts speaking, and he actually says, once the sun is set, what can be auspicious? So making the point that once Krishna and Balaram have departed, then, where is there a question of welfare, right? And then further, he talks of the misfortune of the Yadus, and then the next section is Uddhav remembers the beauty of Lord Shri Krishna, right? And then the very nice verses in the beauty of Lord Shri Krishna. Then he talks about his mercy, his bewildering activities. And what is the most famous verse in that? In the mercy and his bewildering activities? The verse that everyone should memorize is a verse for memorization. Yes, thank you. Aho bakiyam sthana kalakutam yad, jigam sayad apya asadvi lebe gatim dhatri uchitam tatun anya kamva dayalum sharanam prajema. Right? So it basically says in this verse that after talking of different bewildering activities of Lord Shri Krishna, then Uddhav comes to a point and he actually thinks how Putana actually came to kill Krishna, but Krishna actually gave her the position of a nurse in the spiritual world. Right? So this is what text is this? This is 23, right? 23 of chapter 2. Right? So that is one of the most wonderful verses, that who can be more merciful than Krishna, and who is the person worth taking shelter other than Lord Shri Krishna himself. Right? And then after it we discuss, then after talking about this bewildering activities, then Krishna goes into Vrindavan pastimes. Right? And we read towards the end of the chapter, he talks about the birth, he talks about how Krishna, Vasudev carried Krishna from Kamsa's prison all the way to Gokul, and then the pastimes in Gokul, how he actually performed. For 11 years, he was there showing Vrindavan Leela to Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, and how he played the flute, and how he killed the different demons, how he subdued Kalya, how he lifted the Govardhan hill. And then the last we concluded with how Krishna performed the Rasa Leela. Right? So in brief, in this section, we are actually getting a glimpse of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? And we see throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, we saw previously also when we are reading of the different list of incarnations, one way when we are reading the list of incarnations, we have a very brief, what was the main activities of the Lord. But that is actually telling, okay, here's a trailer. The movie is yet to come, So in the next cantos, we are going to read about all Varaha, Vamana, Narsimha, etc., etc. So throughout Bhagavatam, one may consider, it's such a vast literature, 18,000 verses. But throughout Bhagavatam is giving us the initiative. Keep going, so much nectar, so much nectar, so much nectar, right? And then here in the second chapter, we read about the beauty of Lord Shri Krishna and his pastimes in Vrindavan, and we get a glimpse, this is what the 10th canto is going to be. So with eagerness, let's continue in chapter wise, going step by step until we come to the 10th canto, where we can really relish the Vrindavan pastimes in detail. Right? And now today's chapter is actually on Vrindavan, Lord's pastimes outside Vrindavan. Right? So even in 10th canto, we see up to what chapter? I think around 37, 38 is where Akrura comes. And then after that, we read the pastimes after outside Vrindavan. So pastimes in Mathura and then pastimes in Dwarka. Right? So out of those 90 chapters, first, if I'm not wrong, 36 or 37 is actually in Vrindavan. No, sorry. I'm wrong. Sorry. 47. 47. Is that right, Ratnarayana? We are reading text 47 now. No. Okay. No, correct. I was right. So around 36, 37 is where Akrura comes. And then later on, 47 is where we read about Uddhav coming to console the gopis, etc., etc. So anyway, so 10th canto, we are getting a glimpse of the beautiful 10th canto. So we are going to discuss pastimes of the Lord outside Vrindavan. Okay. Okay, so I see there's a question in the group, and maybe someone can answer this. Yeah. So in the chapter 2, in text number 15, there are 5 comparisons of the Lord with the Son. Who can say those 5 comparisons? Anyone can go through those 5 points? Chapter 2, text number 15, the Lord has been compared to the Son. So what are the 5 points that we discussed that actually establishes this connection?
It's like when the sun appears in one place and then disappears and rises in another place. Krishna, when he disappears from one universe, he simultaneously appears in another universe.
Okay, good. That's first point.
When sun rises, it illuminates the planet, and it's like when Krishna appear, it's like related to the ignorance and
Yes. Very nice, friend Prabhu. Yeah. So when the sun rises in the east, it extinguishes all the darkness. And similarly, when Krishna actually appears, he extinguishes all the evil personalities. Okay. Any other points?
The satisfying the lotus, like when
Yes.
the sun rises, it
Very sweet
satisfies the
point.
lotus. It's just how the Lord, when he appears, he satisfies all the minds and hearts of the devotees. And then the Chakravaka birds, be one-pointedness, because the devotees are always one-pointed towards Krishna. So, in spite of Krishna doing all the leelas, they want to see him personally perform the beautiful pastimes of Vrindavan. And the last is the sets in the west, just like how he disappears.
Right. So first is it appears in the east, that's compared to appearing in the womb of Devaki, sets in the west, that is actually referring to a disappearance of Lord in Prabhas Kshetra, then extinguishes darkness, so extinguishes the evil person, satisfies the lotuses, that means satisfies the religious persons, satisfies the Chakravaka birds, that means satisfies his pure devotees who are longing in separation from the Lord. And then when the Lord, and then the last point was what Ratnarayana said, that the sun sets and then rises somewhere else. So similarly, the Lord's pastimes are continuously happening, one universe after another. How Prabhupada says that right now, today it was wonderful to have that extra 1 hour, and we wish that every day we get extra 1 hour in the morning to do our sadhana. It is so nice to have. But Prabhupada makes a point that, right now it is 7:18 here, so somewhere else it is 6:18. Like, we pass 6:18 and then somewhere else right now it is 6:18. So similarly, as the clock is changing continuously, similarly right now Krishna is actually taking birth in the womb of Devaki. Right now Krishna in some universe is lifting Govardhan hill. Right now Putana Leela is happening somewhere in some universe. So all these pastimes are continuously happening, just like the sun is continuously happening. Okay, ready for chapter 3?
So, Prabhu, all these pastimes say like individual earth planets, so they are also Swayam Bhagavan forms, like, or his I mean, in Rasa dance is also not Aishwarya Purna. Like, you know, what I'm saying. Like,
Is it Swayam Bhagwan when we are talking of all this pastime? When we are relating to this point, it necessarily need not be Swayam Bhagwan, in the sense that, yeah, Krishna is performing pastimes of Vrindavan. That could be not the Swayam Bhagwan Rupa, but it could be any other form, just to make the point. But again, how many appearances of Lord Krishna are there right now in the material universe? Inconceivable. It's like beyond our imagine how many appearances of the Lord is there in this universe. So, yeah, like how in Chaitanya Charitamrita, who's the person?
Mahaprabhu dances in the.
No, I was thinking of the point that where it's explaining that Mahaprabhu is actually saying, Vasudeva Datta, right? He actually says, "Oh Lord, you actually give me all the sin." Who's that person?
Yes, Vasudeva Datta.
Yes, yeah. So he said, "Give me all the sinful reactions of all the people in this universe, so that everyone can go back." And that's the mood. And he's actually Prahlad Maharaj, right? In the same mood he's praying. So he said, "Give me the sins of all the people in this world, so that they all can go back home, back to God." And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what did he say? He said, "This universe
Is already
is
lived.
like a one mustard seed in a bag of mustard." So in India, actually, we often see that you go to any of these stores selling rice and dal and all these things. They have like a big sack of mustard seeds. And then that's just like one sack. So our entire universe is just like one mustard seed in the entire sack of mustard. So how many universes are there, and how many places these pastimes are actually happening? It is beyond our conception. Okay, ready for chapter 3? And chapter 3 is all about, today's it's like 10 canto, all stories. So like if you contrast this with our second canto, 5th chapter, where it's all like technical aspect, this is like complete opposite. Now we are going to read nice, sweet pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna outside Vrindavan.
So before we start, I just want to share a very good news. I had emailed my Guru Maharaj our presentations of Bhakti Vaibhav, the second canto and the videos and some of those which are already saved. And he's very happy about it. And he has sent an email saying blessings to all the Bhakti Vaibhav students and the teacher. So
Oh my God, that is
just a morning email, I was like,
this is like the best news ever to start our, day, or in this auspicious month of Kartik, to actually get these blessings of such elevated personalities, these pure devotees. That is what we are dependent on. That's what our Krishna consciousness life is dependent on. So thank you, Mataji, for forwarding and sharing this wonderful blessings with each one of us. This is what is, that's what we are looking for. That's what we are completely dependent.
you can go and meet him and say that you're this teacher. He'll be very happy.
We'll pray if we have the good fortune to meet him. Yes. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. So let me share my screen and we'll see third chapter. What are the sections in this, right? So, so 28 verses. Hopefully we'll complete this chapter today. It's not so much philosophy, it's all stories. So first 9 chapters, it talks of Krishna's education after Krishna left Vrindavan, after Akrura took Krishna and Balaram outside of Vrindavan. Then they came, the first thing they did was they killed Kamsa. Then after Kamsa was killed, then Vasudeva and Devaki, they actually decided, okay, time for second initiation and time for education with Sandipani Muni. So we'll read about that. Then after that, we read in Dwarka how Krishna married 16,108 queens, right? Out of them, 8 of them are principal queens. So we'll read about those, not 8 of them, but at least few of those principal queens we'll read, and then the remaining 16,100. How did he actually get married, right? So we'll read about that, and then how the Lord actually killed different demons, and then the Lord actually planned for the departure of the Yadus, right? So he's slowly coming to the point of Vidura's question, where he has actually asked about the disappearance past and the Mausala Leela. So he'll come and he'll give the background leading unto the final departure of the Yadavas, right? So Lord is actually thinking, okay, how will the Yadavas actually departure? I'm going to wrap up my pastime, but how will the Yadavas actually, who are my own associates, how will they departure? So Lord is planning that, and for that he actually establishes Yudhishthira as the king, and then a little bit about his life in Dwarka, how he lived his life in Dwarka. And then finally, the last section actually comes to what were the circumstances under which the Yadavas were actually cursed, and then they actually had this final Moshala Lila, or the final departure pastime. Right? So 5 sections in this. It's all stories. So one way it's not very well-defined sections, but at least following in this flowchart here. 4 sections. So you have Krishna's education and marriage, 1 to 9. So we'll do 1 to 9, then we'll take a break just to have some reflections. Then we'll do 10 to 15, killing of demons, Kurukshetra war, 16 to 23, Krishna in Dwarka. And then the last is events leading unto the annihilation of the Yadavas. Okay. Okay, so let's start with pastimes. Okay. So let's start with text number 1.
Udava uvacha tatas agatya puram svapitrosh chikirshaya Baladeva samyutaha nipatya tungad ripuyutanatam hatam vyakarshad vyasum ojasurvyam.
Okay, so let's start with Vijay Radhika Mati.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation: Sukadeva Goswami, after renouncing his prosperous home and
Mati, wrong.
Chapter 3, text 1.
Chapter
3, text 1.
in
3.3.1, right?
sorry, Prabhuji. Translation: Sri Uddhava said, "Is that the one?" Therefore,
Yes.
Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Sri Baladeva and to please their parents. They dragged Kamsa, the leader of the public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength.
Right? So the verse starts with Tataha. So whenever we see Tataha, after Vrindavan Leela, after Ras Leela, then what happened? Thereafter, then Dwarka pastimes are going to be talked about. Right? So Puram is actually given, the word Puram means Mathura, right? Swapitroho, to actually please his own parents, to give pleasure to his own parents, referring to Vasudeva and Devaki. And then Baladev Samyutaha, along with Balaram, Krishna and Balaram, they came together. And then the next part of the verse says Nipatya. Nipatya means dragging down. And then Ripu Yutha Natham, the leader of all the public enemies. This is a description of Kamsa. He's the leader of public enemies. So that's how it's described. And Hatam he killed, and then on the ground. So we know this pastime that so Prabhupada in the purport, I'll refer a little bit of 10 Canto pastime also because it's so sweet. But Prabhupada in the purport says that how Lord is also proving that he's such a worthy son of his parents. So Prabhupada mentions that in 16 years, so this is always a mystery that we say, because when did Krishna actually leave Vrindavan to go to Mathura? Actually 11 years. But in those 11 years, he has shown the pastimes of Komara, Pauganda, and Kaishor. So that's why it is considered 15. So he has shown 15-year pastime in 11 years. So hence it is actually considered 16th year when he actually came here to Mathura, right? And then Prabhupada makes the point that how Kamsa was so powerful, that Vasudeva never thought that Krishna and Balaram could actually kill Kamsa. But and with that parental affection, they were actually feeling extreme danger when actually Krishna and Balaram, they walk into the arena. The beautiful verse is that just that one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, the people in the arena, they see Krishna and 10 different rasas are experienced in that one verse, because everyone is seeing with a different vision Krishna, right? So like the woman in the arena, we're thinking, oh, this is Cupid personified, right? The parents are feeling, oh, our son is here, and they're feeling fearful, right? And then Kamsa is thinking, oh, this is my death personified. And all like 10 different reflections are given. But then Krishna and Balaram, but the parents, what is their mood? They were feeling scared. They're saying, this is not fair. Krishna and Balram, they are actually our own children. And now they have to fight such powerful wrestlers like Chanur and Mustika and all these personalities. This is not fair. So in that way, they were actually having that mood. So that's what Prabhupada says in the purport. So I'll tell a little bit of the fun pastime, and every verse could be like a whole class just describing the pastime, but just some sweetness in this pastime. So it is described that after Krishna and Balram killed the wrestlers, right? He actually fought, and Krishna fought and killed few wrestlers. Balram actually fought and killed few wrestlers. And after Kamsa was still seeing that how these two boys are so expertly killing all these wrestlers. And after the wrestlers were killed, then Krishna actually, he calls his own cowherd boys, because they were also there along with the Vrajvasis. So he calls his own cowherd boys. And they start on the stage, they are like singing and dancing and having fun right there in the center of the arena, And then in that singing and dancing, that itself gets converted to a fun wrestling match. So now Krishna and Balram are having wrestling, but they are wrestling with their own cowherd boyfriends, they're gopas. And in that, they are fighting, and every time Krishna and Balram are losing. And Kamsa is totally bewildered. He said, just right now, they defeated all these powerful wrestlers, and now they are getting defeated by this, simple cowherd boy. How is this possible? And then they were just having fun, and Krishna and Balram are getting defeated. And finally, Kamsa could not tolerate this anymore. And then he actually said, stop all the music. Kill Vasudev and Devaki. They have cheated me. And as soon as he actually, said that, then Krishna said, okay, now is the time. And then he jumped all the way from the arena to the dais where Kamsa was actually sitting, And he was with such swiftness that Kamsa actually thought that Krishna actually appeared from the sky. Like, how come Krishna came here? And then on that dais, for 2 hours, they were actually fighting. Kamsa and Krishna, they were actually fighting for 2 hours. And finally, Krishna decided, okay, now is the time to finish Kamsa. Right? And then he killed him right there. And then after that is described, so this verse is also describing that Krishna actually, he took the hairs of Kamsa and he dragged it through the arena. He dragged it through the arena. And it is described that when he was dragging, then all the, the blood from Kamsa's body was actually flowing. Because he was thinking, because even the Vasudeva and Devaki were thinking like, how is it that Krishna can kill Kamsa? He's so powerful. So they were still not convinced that Kamsa is actually dead. And then after like Krishna was pulling, so even in Mathura, that actually it is said that there was actually a canal created by the pulling of Kamsa's body, and the canal was full of blood. And then when all the arena people, they actually saw how Kamsa's blood has now come out, and now then they were convinced that now Kamsa is dead. Then they actually said, everyone shouted, oh, Kamsa has been killed. So this verse at the end, it actually says, the last part says, Vya Karsat. He actually pulled Kamsa onto the dais, and then he killed him, and Ojasa Urvam on the ground with great strength. Right? So he's pulling him along the ground with great strength. And that's how Kamsa was actually killed. Okay, next two.
Sandipane sakrit proktam brahmaditya savishtaram tasmai pradadvaram putram mritam pancha janodarat.
The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamloka.
So Prabhupada in this purport, so it starts off with Sandipane, so for Sandipani Muni. So after Krishna killed Kamsa, then he came to Vasudeva and Devaki, and then they actually performed the second initiation rites. And then they decided time for Krishna and Balram to get their education. Thus they sent him to Avanti, which is actually Ujjain, right? So even now, if you go to Ujjain, there is this place in Ujjain where you can see Sandipani Muni's ashram. And now they have, like recently in the past 2-3 years, they have renovated that place, and it's really beautiful because in that, during that time when Krishna was there, and Krishna and Balram were getting education from Sandipani Muni, they learned 64 different arts in 64 days. So they have actually made like dioramas, like 3D, like kind of like, impressions of all those 64 arts. So it's
Yes, Prabhuji. I went, we visited it last year actually. It was very good.
it's very beautiful. So you can actually see, walk across each one and see they are described that what is the art that actually Krishna learned. So 64 arts he actually learned. And here it says, what the word is? Sacred. How many times have we have to hear one thing to actually remember it? And that's a big question. Sometimes it's like we have to keep hearing, and still it's like, I heard this verse like 1,000 times, still I cannot remember. Right? That's our Kali Yuga memory. But Krishna, sacred, only once he heard it and remember. Right? And particularly this verse is saying what? Brahma here referring to all the Vedas with the different branches. Right? Where else do we read the word Brahma referring to knowledge? Famous verse.
Janmadhyasya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Janmadhyasya Yatunma, the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Where it actually says, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaya. Adikavaya is Brahma, and Brahma is actually referring to the Vedic knowledge. So here also we see Brahma referring to Vedic knowledge. And here it says 6 branches, 6 different branches of Vedic knowledge. So 6 philosophies, like, they have been explained. One is Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Yoga, then Sankhya, then Karma Mimamsa, and then Brahma Mimamsa. These are the 6 divisions. And then also, there's also other ways in which the 6 angas of Vedas have been described, which is called Shiksha, which is actually phonetics, then Kalpa, rituals, Vyakran is the grammar, Nirukta, etymology, Chanda, metrics, and Jyotisha, astronomy. So, there are 2 different ways these 6 divisions can be defined of the 6 divisions of the Vedas. And Sir Vistaram, in all details, he actually studied. And then after that, the next part of the verse says what? Tasmai pradat varam putram. After the education, then he actually gave Guru Dakshina. And what was the Guru Dakshina? He asked Sandipani Muni, how can I actually give you, my Guru Dakshina? And Sandipani Muni actually said, please revive my dead son. Right? And then Krishna and Balaram actually went and revived. So he was, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. Right? And the udarat in this verse actually refers to either like from within, that basically either from Yamaloka, or it could actually refer that how he actually had to pierce the stomach of Panchajanna. Right? And that's why he got his conch, Panchajanya conch, or Krishna's conch, right? So it's described that how he actually went to the ocean, and then in the ocean there was a demon, and then he actually killed the demon, and then from demon he actually got the conch, and then he came to know that actually it wasn't, the body was not there in demon. Then he went to Yamaloka, and when he went to Yamaloka, Yamraj actually saw Krishna Balaram and immediately came, he offered obeisances to Krishna and Balaram, right? And then Yamraj actually said, what can I do for you? And he actually said, well, my guru's son is actually here. And immediately Yamraj came and brought the son back. But Prabhupada is making the point that Krishna is actually showing us the example of how it is important for every one of us to receive Vedic knowledge from a teacher, right? That's the first point. And second point is how we should actually reward or give something in return for the knowledge that we have received from our spiritual master. How Krishna, he went all the way to Yamaloka to get the dead son back. So we have to actually somehow or other do something to actually respond, to reciprocate with the mercy that we are receiving from the spiritual master. Right? So he's teaching by example. Everyone must go to learn Vedas from the authorized teacher. And second, he must satisfy the teacher by service and reward. Right? Sevaya, and we have to give something in return. Right? And then towards the last of this purport is a very beautiful point, right? Where just I'll read the last 2 sentences of this purport. So Prabhupada is saying, the Lord is not therefore an ingrate to anyone. What is ingrate?
Ungrateful.
Ungrateful, opposite of grateful, right? So Lord is therefore the Lord is not an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. The devotees of the Lord who always engage in his loving service are never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. So Prabhupada concludes with such a wonderful point. So when you are reading these pastimes, see, we can read this pastime at 3 different levels. The first one is just the actual literal level, okay, where we are seeing that, okay, Krishna went to Sandipani Muni, he got this education. That is just the pastime. First, like literal level. Second is we can understand the Shastra at more of an ethical level. Okay, this is a pastime. What can we learn from it? Right? What can we learn from it? And that's what Prabhupada is actually pointing out here, that how Krishna is setting the example. We must receive education from a guru. We must do seva to the guru, or reward to the guru. So that's it. Then third level is where it is actually more, one can say, either metaphorical or one actually goes into a deeper meaning of that verse, right? Where one example of metaphorical is like in Bhagavad Gita, the 5 Pandavas are actually compared, like the first verses on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So some commentators, what do they say? Oh, actually the battlefield of Kurukshetra is like our body, and the 5 Pandavas are the 5 senses, right? So sometimes Prabhupada actually criticized this for those people who actually say that only this is truth and the other thing is not true. That is not right, right? So when we are actually understanding Shastra, we understand literal level, we accept this is a historical fact. This is Krishna's pastime, first level. Second, we actually understand what can we learn from it, what is the ethical lessons in it, and third is metaphorical, right? So when we are reading these stories also, now first reading we can say, oh, so sweet pastime, but we should go deeper and see the second and the third level, right? So ethical would be here, okay, the example that Krishna is teaching. But third point is Prabhupada actually getting the jewel out of this entire pastime. Right? What is Prabhupada saying? The Lord is never ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. Any service that we have done for Krishna, any service. Like how in the we often give this example that how Prabhupada was on 26th Avenue and he was giving class, right? He was giving class, and during the class, this one of those hippie guys, like drunk, he just came during the class, like disturbing the class. He came and then he brought like 2 tissue rolls, carrying with him. And all the disciples, they were thinking like, come on, Prabhupada is giving class. What are you disturbing? Like in their mind, they were just like, oh, we should just kick him out. And then he came with us 2 tissue rolls and he went to the bathroom and then he just kept it. And he was a drunk guy. And Prabhupada said, what did Prabhupada say? See, he has done devotional service. So even the slightest service that is done, the Guru and Krishna always actually have said, okay, he has done this for me. They never forget that service, and that is always some reciprocation, some reward for our service. So practically for us, sometimes in our spiritual life, we are going through a little bit of a dry spell. Our spiritual life often goes like this until we come to the stage of Nishtha. It is in the form of waves. So when we are in a low side, at that time we can remember that any service we have done, Krishna is grateful for that service, and he will actually reciprocate. He will actually somehow bring me back to the path. So at those points, it's nice to remember this mood of Krishna, how he's so grateful that he never forgets even the slightest service that has been offered to him, right? So we can meditate on that point. There's actually a beautiful verse I'll share from Rupa Goswami in Padyavali. Let me share my screen 1 minute. It's I really like this verse, the mood of bhakti, and it's in relationship to the point that I'm saying here. Yeah. So there's one of the verses. So in this connection, of this point of the devotee service and the Lord's reciprocation, one prayer by Rupa Goswami is sufficient to exemplify this hopefulness, right? What are we? But we somehow have hope that even a little bit we have done, Krishna will somehow reciprocate. He says, I have no love for Krishna, nor the causes of developing love for Krishna, namely hearing and chanting. right? So no love, nor I'm actually engaging in hearing and chanting. And the process of bhakti yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in his heart, is also lacking me. I'm not even doing that. I'm not thinking about Krishna. I'm not fixing his lotus feet in my mind, even after reading in Bhagavatam again and again. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I'm not even born of a nice family. Therefore, what I must do? So neither I'm doing bhakti, nor good activities, nothing is there in me. Therefore, what should I do? Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Vallabha, Krishna, maintainer and beloved of the gopis. I simply wish and hope that somehow or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain because I think myself quite incompetent to approach that transcendental goal of life. The purport is that this understanding of Asha Bandha, right? So this is actually explained in Nectar of Devotion. Asha Bandha is somehow hope against hope. I am useless, I cannot do anything. I cannot even chant my rounds properly. I cannot even focus. But still, I have hope on Krishna's side. So this is the mood. And whenever we are, going through some low phases in our spiritual life, we can meditate on this mood of Krishna, how Krishna is actually reciprocating. He's so merciful, right? So that's a beautiful prayer. Okay, so nice to remember about Krishna's. Oh, okay, so one more point I'll make from Nectar of Devotion. One of the 64 qualities of Krishna is he's grateful, right? He's grateful. Now, what is the example that's given in Nectar of Devotion for gratitude and gratefulness of Krishna? Anyone remembers? Very famous example.
Naparyam. Is that the answer?
Not in that context. Not in that context. But Krishna gives, here the point that we are discussing, any little service one does, then Krishna for sure reciprocates. He's so grateful.
The fruit vendor? Fruit vendor? Or Sudama?
Okay. Can you think one from Ramayana?
The little squirrel.
The squirrels.
And then you won't get that. Okay, so here, two examples that Prabhupada gives in Nectar of Devotion, and this is from Bhakti Rasamrita. So Rupa Goswami is saying, the first one is the example of Jambavan, because Jambavan, he actually offered service in the war. Then how did Krishna reciprocate? Next life, he actually came and he married Jambavan's daughter, Jambavati. So that is one. And the second example that Prabhupada gives is of Draupadi. And Prabhupada says, this section is so nice. He says, any person who's conscious of... okay, so let me share my screen. This is a very nice section. So let's see. Okay, so here, grateful. Any person, okay, so who's conscious of his friends' beneficent activities and never forgets his service is called grateful. Never forgets. Any little service, he never forgets, right? So in the Mahabharata, Krishna says, when I was away from Draupadi, she cried out with the words, "Hey Govinda, this call for me has put me in her debt. And that indebtedness is gradually increasing in my heart." This statement by Krishna gives evidence of how one can please the Supreme Lord simply by addressing, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda." Just once we actually say, right? So Prabhupada says further. So to anyone who is constantly, we can imagine how much the Supreme Lord is obliged. It is impossible for the Lord to ever forget such a devotee. It's clearly stated in this verse that anyone who addresses the Lord immediately attracts the attention of the Lord, who always remains obliged to him. Right? So every time we call out in the names of Krishna, we can meditate that every time I'm actually calling, Krishna is actually noticing that I am actually chanting his name. He is grateful for the service I'm actually offering him, right? So both sides are there. One side, we can actually meditate on Krishna's gratitude. And on the other side, we actually say that, oh, I am so fallen. I've not done anything on Krishna. So based on our spiritual journey, we may be focusing on different points when based on how our journey is going on. Right? You get the point? So when we are really low, we focus on how Krishna is so grateful. And when we are actually, going nicely in our spiritual life, offering service, then we can meditate on how we are like not doing anything for Krishna. How can I increase my service to Krishna? So all these different moods. So we cultivate all these, we are getting these jewels. So at different points in our spiritual life, we are actually empowered to use them so that we can progress, continue our journey of bhakti. Right? Makes sense, that point?
Prabhu, can you share the first Rupa Goswami's, where is it from? The prayer from Rupa Goswami?
That is in, like when in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada quotes this when he talks about the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, the 9 symptoms of Bhava Bhakti. So in that, one of them is called Asha Bandha, hope against hope. Right? So from our side, we don't have hope, but we have hope on Krishna's mercy, right? Or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Nityananda's mercy, right? Because their mercy is unlimited. We are unqualified. So in that section, this is okay. Next.
Prabhu, did you say it is from Padyavali or NOD?
I mean, and what is Padyavali? Padyavali is a composition of different verses put together. It's like the verse book of Rupa Goswami, right? So in Padyavali, there are verses from different sections. And so even in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami is using verses from Padyavali, and you'll find common verses to actually work.
Okay.
Right? So Padyavali is not like other scriptures where it's going, like verse. It is actually a collection of different verses of Rupa Goswami.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Well, I
Ready?
was just thinking that Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says about that, the levels of surrender, and then he says, Goptatra Varanam, only one, you are my only shelter. Complete surrender, yeah.
Okay. So let's proceed. Text number 3.
Prabhuji, sorry, Prabhuji. You mentioned like the hope is giving the pain. What is that part, Prabhu? I did not get that.
So there are two things. Like there's a hope from our side, and there is a hope from Krishna's side. So when that quality is actually mentioned, that the devotee is Asha Bandha, from our side, we have no hope. Why? Because, while chanting my rounds, I fall asleep. This is the highest treasure I have. And while chanting my rounds, I'm falling asleep. So no hope from my side. So that kind of hope is giving me pain. But the hope from Krishna's side, how he is all merciful, that is giving me hope, that real positive hope that yes, I can progress in the path of bhakti.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, text 3. Let's go ahead.
Samahuta bhishmaka kanyayaye Shriya savarnena babhushayaisham Gandharva vritya mishatam subhagam Jare padam murdni dadhat suparnaha.
Hare Krishna, translation. Attracted by the beauty and fortune of Rukmini, the daughter of King Bhishma, many great princes and kings assembled to marry her. But Lord Krishna, stepping over the other woeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away nectar. Hare Krishna.
So now we are reading about the queens, the principal queens, how Krishna married Rukmini, right? So this verse is actually saying Bhishmaka. Who is Bhishmaka? The father of Rukmini, right? Bhishmaka. So this king Bhishmaka is Kanyaya, the daughter, right? Shreya, she's as good as the goddess of fortune. Rukmini is as good as Shreya, the goddess of fortune, right? So that's the point here. And then further it says Gandharva. Right, so there are different kinds of marriages, and the marriage where the prince actually goes and kidnaps the princess, that kind of a style of marriage is called Gandharva. So here it is, Gandharva style of marriage, Vritya. And then Swabhagam, his own share, right? Rukmini actually belongs to Krishna, right? So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport that how Rukmini is actually the consort of Lord, right? So it is his own share. So Swabhagam, right? And then he took it, he kidnapped her, just like Padam Murdhani Dadat Suparna Garuda. How Garuda, he steals the nectar Similarly, Krishna went and he kidnapped Rukmini. Right? So that's the point. And then the word is used, stepping over other hopeful candidates. Right? So everyone knows the story how Rukmini, she had heard about Krishna. And just by hearing about Krishna, she gave her heart to Krishna. She said, I'm going to only marry Krishna. And then, but her brother Rukmi wanted her to marry who? Shishupal. Right, Shishupal. And he was like, oh, he was envious of Krishna and he wanted Rukmini to marry Shishupal. So Shishupal came with Jarasandha, Shalva, all these kings were there on one side. And they knew if Krishna comes, we are going to kidnap Rukmini. So that was their plan, right? But then Rukmini, she actually wrote a love letter to Krishna, right? And the love letter is very famous. She actually sent it to the Brahmana and she actually said in the love letter that ever since I've heard about you, I've become completely attracted to you. So without fail, please come before my marriage to Shishupal and take me away. Right? And she actually says that, according to marriage customs, is the day before or in the morning, before the marriage, I go to this temple of Ambika, and that's the best time for you to actually come and take me. So she gives all the plans to Krishna. This is the best time, come and kidnap me. And then she says, if you do not show me this favor, I will give up my life by fasting and observing severe vows. Then perhaps in my next life, I'll be able to obtain. That's how Rukmini's exclusive devotion, her love letter to Krishna, And then Krishna actually decided, yes, I'm going. And he says, immediately he calls his chariot driver, who is?
Arjun.
No, Krishna's
No.
chariot driver.
Daruka.
Daruka. So he calls Daruka, and overnight they actually go all the way to the kingdom of Bhishmaka. Right? And then Bhishmaka, he actually sees Krishna, he welcomes him, and he was actually hoping that Krishna would come. So he welcomes Krishna, and then after that, the next day at that Ambika temple, then Rukmini, she was hoping that yes, Krishna would come. But till the last moment, Krishna didn't come. But then what happened? Her left side of her body was twitching. And she said, this is a good omen. That means Krishna is going to come. And then Krishna comes and then he kidnaps. And then actually it is said that all the other Shishupal and everyone else, when they saw Rukmini coming out of the temple, they saw her beauty and they just fainted. And Krishna used that opportunity, came and kidnapped Rukmini, and then he had to fight all the other people, and he took her. So stepping over those who were actually hopeful that, oh, this Rukmini will become our queen, he stepped over them, and that way he kidnapped Rukmini. Right? Okay, next verse.
Akudmino vidanaso dhamitva svayam varenagna jitim udvaha tad bhagnamanam apigridyato gyan jagne kshatakshatra vritasvashastrae. By subduing 7 bulls whose noses were not pierced, the Lord achieved the hand of Princess Nagnajiti in the open competition to select her bridegroom. Although the Lord was victorious, his competitors asked the hand of the princess, and thus there was a fight. Well equipped with weapons, the Lord killed or wounded all of them, but he was not hurt himself.
So one of the principal queens is what? Nagnajiti, right? Also known as Satya. Right? So here this is talking about Krishna's marriage with Satya. So this is actually in this kingdom of Ayodhya, there was a king by name Nagnajit, and he has his daughter named Nagnajiti or Satya, right? And she was very beautiful, very extraordinarily beautiful, it is described. And Krishna, when he heard about this, he actually said that he took his entire army, he came to Ayodhya to get married to this princess. But the condition was, the father has said that anyone who would actually subdue Kakudmino. This verse starts with what? Kakudmino. Kakudmina means the bulls, the ferocious bulls. So anyone who can actually subdue 7 ferocious bulls, that person in a Swayamvar is an open competition, that person would win the hand of his daughter. So that was a condition that her father had actually, Nagnajit had actually said. And when Krishna actually came and Satya saw Krishna, immediately she gave her heart to Krishna. She said, that's it, I just want to marry Krishna. And when her father came, Nagnajit came to know the desire of his daughter, then he actually said, he told Krishna that, yes, my daughter just wishes to marry you, but you please subdue these 7 bulls, and then you can certainly marry. And what did Krishna do? He expanded into 7 forms and simultaneously subdued each one of those bulls. The 7 bulls he subdued, and then he married Satya or Nagnajiti. Right? And then here it says, Gridayata Agyan Jage Akshata. Right? And the other people, the princess who had come to actually win her hand with well-equipped weapons, the Lord killed and wounded all of them, but he was not hurt himself. So Krishna killed all those other people who were coming and who were hoping to get the hand of Satya, but Krishna just defeated them. Okay, next text 5.
Priyam Prabhurgramya Iva Priyaya Vidhitsur Archad Vyutaram Yadarte Vajradravat Tam Satganorushandha Kridam Rigonunam Ayam Vadunam.
Who's next?
Prarthana Mataji.
Sorry, Mataji. Just to please his dear wife, the Lord brought back the Parijat tree from the heaven, just as an ordinary husband would do. But Indra, the king of heaven, induced by his wives, handpicked as he was, ran after the Lord with full force to fight him. Thank
you. Yeah. So everyone knows the stories, right? Nagnajiti and the 8 queens. Right? Okay, so now here we are reading Priyam, right? Priya, the dear wife of Lord, that is referring to Satyabhama, right? Satyabhama. So just for his dear wife, Priyam Prabhu, what did he do? Gramya Eva. Gramya, like we say what? Gramya Katha, right? That is like village talk. So what is here? Gramya Eva, just like an ordinary husband. What did Krishna do? Priyataha, just to please his wife, who was actually Vidit Sibhi. So she was actually wishing to get that Parijata flower from the heavenly planets. Right? So Krishna appeared as an ordinary husband, as a Gramya Eva. Right? But was he really a handpicked husband? No, he was just reciprocating with the devotion of Satyabhama, right? With her prema. And then Vajri referring to who? The one who carries Vajra, Indra, right? Indra Adravattam, he went forward to fight. And Sagana with full strength. And then here it uses the word Rusha and Andaha. Andaha means what? Blind. It's referring to Indra. He went to fight with Krishna, but he's referring to blind. Why blind? Actually, before this, and the next verse will actually reveal the past time. Before this, Indra actually comes to Dwarka because a demon by name Narakasura had stolen 3 different items from the heaven. So Indra had come to Dwarka asking, Krishna, you please help kill this demon and revive those 3 things which actually belong to the heavenly planet. And Krishna killed the demon, which we'll read in the next verse. And then after it, Krishna actually takes these 3 items and he goes and he gives it back to Indra. So imagine like Indra has come to Dwarka asking a favor. Krishna actually fulfilled that, gave those items back to Indra. And then after giving to Indra, Indra is actually like pleased with that and he's worshipped the Lord. And then Krishna is taking Parijata and Indra is thinking what? How can he take the Parijata from here? You know. So here the word Andha, blind, because why? Because he forgot that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the proprietor of everything. Second reason why Andha, blind, is actually used, because he was actually handpicked. But he was thinking what? Oh, Krishna is acting like a handpicked husband. You know. He himself was handpicked because his wife was actually saying, oh, how can they take the Parijata tree? And Indra said, oh, I have to do something. And he started fighting. Right? And so he was handpicked, but he was actually thinking, oh, Krishna is acting just like an handpicked husband. Right? So hence he said, Krida Mrigaha. Krida Mrigaha means a handpicked husband. Right? So handpicked by Sachi, the wife of Indra. Right? So Prabhupada says there's no fault on the Lord. The Lord is the proprietor of everything. He was just reciprocating with the devotion of Satyabhama. So there's nothing wrong on the Lord's part to actually take the Parijata tree from the heavenly planets. Everything belongs to the Lord, right? And then Prabhupada says that how Indra was handpicked, right? He forgot that how the Lord is the proprietor of everything, right? Right. So Krishna was he was pleased with the devotion of Satyabhama, and he was just reciprocating with that devotion. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he actually makes an excellent point in this, which Prabhupada actually often quotes with the verse, Atmavan manyate jagat. Right? Atmavan manyate jagat. What does that mean? That one sees the world how he is, or he or she is. And Indra was handpicked, and hence he was seeing, oh, Krishna is handpicked. And this is a very practical point, that when we see faults in others, we can actually see, because that fault is in me, hence I'm able to see that fault in others. Like if someone doesn't have the fault, how will he actually notice the fault in others? Like this is unless someone is in a position of guru and he's at a different level. But in general, I'm talking that unless we have that fault, how will we see that fault in others? So Prabhupada actually makes a point. Atmavan manyate jagat. Right? We see, so according to this principle, one thinks that everyone else is similar to oneself. Right? So if a person is a businessman just wanting to get money, he will see everyone else is also like a businessman. Everyone else is trying to get money. I have so many competitors. Why? Because he's in the mood of getting money. So Atmavan manyate jagat. So if you remember I shared one document with 13 points from Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. Right? In this point, the 2 points are there. Look within, amend yourself rather than pry into the frailties of others. That's the first point. And second point, when faults in others misguide you and delude you, have patience. Introspect, find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. So when we see faults in others, we should actually look within. So what Bhakti Saraswati Thakur is saying, when you're seeing faults in others, have patience, introspect, find the faults in yourself. You can see, what is the fault in me that I'm actually able to see the fault in others? If you see, oh, that person acting out of so much envy, or that person acting out of so much pride, then we can think, actually, I have those faults. That's why I'm seeing it in others, right? So introspect, find faults in ourselves, and know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. It is just my faulty nature in my heart that is actually an obstacle, right? Not on the other. So that's a nice point. Atmavan manyate jagat. Okay, so let's continue the story. So we are going to read about the same story. Right? So text 6.
Sutam ridekam vapushagrasantam drishtva sunabhon matitam dharitrya amantritastat tanayaya shesham datva taranta puram avishesham.
Who's next?
Okay, I think Mohananda Puran, Lavangama.
No, not here.
Okay, Koshalya Mataji.
Yeah, translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. 6 number, the Narkasur, the son of Daitri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom to the son of Narkasur, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we're continuing the same story, and here it is described that how Narakasura, he actually had stolen Lord Varuna's umbrella, Mother Aditi's earrings, and the playground of the demigods, which is known as Mani Parvata. So 3 things Narakasura had actually stolen. So Indra actually, he comes to Krishna in Dwarka, and he actually offers obeisances, and he begs Krishna, oh Krishna, you please kill Narakasura. He has stolen these 3 things. right? And then Krishna actually goes to this kingdom of Narakasura. He goes with Satyabhama on his chariot, and then it is described that how he killed this Mura demon outside, and then he kills Narakasura, and then Mother Earth, right, Prithvi. So here it says Dharitri, right, the son of Dharitri. So Mother Earth, she actually comes and she returns these three items to Krishna, and then she offers the son of Narakasura, right, who was actually scared. And Krishna actually accepts the son, and he offers the kingdom back to the son of Narakasura, right? And this we're going to continue this. And then here it says Antapuram, the last word, Antapuram Avishesha. He entered into the house of the demon. And what happened after that? Don't see the next verse. Everyone knows the story, right? What happened after he entered into the house of the Narakasura demon?
Release the queens.
Yeah, he saw 16,100 queens. Right? So that will be the next verse. Okay, let's so here Prabhupada makes a point that how Narakasura, he's the son of Dharitri, the earth. Then one may consider it's a son of earth. How can he become a demon? You know, like how is he like stealing from the heaven? How is he acting so viciously? And Prabhupada said he became a demon due to the bad association of Bana, another demon. So even though he's a son of Mother Earth, due to bad association, he actually became a demon. And then Prabhupada, he says that even a person born of good parents can turn into a demon by bad association. Right? So birth is not always the criteria of goodness. Unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. So this shows the power of association, and like how in that good association. So it's not that, yes, children are born in good family, that's it. You know, that's just the first thing. But they have to be trained in good association with good culture. And that actually determines who they are. So though here we have Narakasura as the son of Mother Earth, still he actually became a demon because of association with Banasura. Right? So one can understand the power of bad association from this story. Okay, next verse, text 7.
Tatraritastha naradeva kanya pujena drishtva harim artabandhum uthaya sadyo jagrihu praharsha vridhanuraga prahitavalokai. Oh, Mataji, you're on mute.
Thank you. There in the house of all the princesses kidnapped by Narakasura at once became alert upon seeing the ward, the friend of the distressed. They looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness, and offered to be his wives.
So this is continuing from the previous verse where it says, previous verse, Antapuram Avishesha. He entered into the palace of Narakasura. And then what happened inside? So this verse starts with Tatra, inside the house of Narakasura. And then he saw all these daughters of the king, Naradeva Kanya, and they had been kidnapped by Narakasura. So there are 16,100 princesses who were actually kidnapped by Narakasura. And then when Harim, as soon as they Drishtva Harim, they saw the Lord, what was their first word they actually used? Arthabandhu. That the Lord is our Arthabandhu. Arthabandhu means the friend of the distress. Bandhu is friend. Artha is one who has distress. So immediately they saw the Lord and they said, oh, here is our Arthabandhu. And you know, and also in Vedic culture, when a princess is actually kidnapped by someone, I mean, that's it. No one else will marry her because she's been touched by another husband, another man, right? So all these princes were thinking that our only hope is if Krishna accepts us as his queen. Otherwise, we'll never get married, right? So they saw Krishna as our Arthabandhu, as a friend of distress. And then it says Uthaya, the princess immediately got up and then Jagru, they immediately accepted Krishna as their husband. Right, so that is described in Bhagavatam further. It says they had the thought, may Providence grant that this man become my husband. So each one of the princes actually saw and thought that, oh, may Providence make this person my husband. Right? And then it describes here, Prahita Avalokai. right? So, and then Vrida Anuraga. So as soon as they saw Krishna, what was that? There were eager glances, and there was shyness, and there was joy. So they looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness, and they offered that, okay, he is our husband, right? He is our husband. Okay. Next verse, we're continuing the story now. Text 8.
Asamugurta ekasmin nanagareshu yoshitam savidham jagret panin anurupa swamayaya.
All those princesses were lodged in different apartments, and the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions, exactly matching each and every princess. He accepted their hands in perfect rituals by his internal potency.
Right. So here it says Asam Muruta. Muruta means at one time. Ekas means simultaneously. Right. So it wasn't that, okay, 16,100. So who will go first? Okay, you first, you second, you third, you fourth. No. Simultaneously, the Lord expanded into 16,100 form. And then here it says we're lodged in different apartments or different palaces. So each one of them had a separate palace. Right? So Lord actually expanded into 16,100 forms, entered into each palace, and in each palace they had a wedding ceremony, right? So he accepted their hands in perfect rituals, right? Perfect rituals. So every palace, there was proper marriage ceremony between the Lord and his queen, right? And then another point here is the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions exactly matching each and every princess. Right. So it wasn't the Lord was exact. It wasn't exactly the same, but slightly different, just to match each queen, the nature of each queen. So how amazing our Lord. For every queen, not only separate palace, not only separate expansion, but also the mood is slightly different to match the particular queen. Right? So Prabhupada quotes from Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Right. So unlimited. Ananta Rupa. The Lord has Ananta Rupa. Now, in this verse, Prabhupada says one point, and this is actually a question I have. Maybe someone, if you want to do some research and get me the answer to this question, I'll be grateful. So I'll just share my screen, and you can, this is your homework for this week to find this answer. So Prabhupada in this purport says, so when you talk of the 16,108 expansions of Krishna, so do you know which are the different expansions of Krishna? Like where does this category fall? In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to Sanatana Goswami, and he talks of like different expansions of Krishna. Right? So if you see my screen here, so you have Swayam Rupa Bhagwan, right? And then there is Vaibhav Prakash and Prabhav Prakash. Right? So Prabhav Prakash is expansions into multiple forms. So here it clearly says those in Ras Leela and also in the palaces of Dwarka. So 16,100 Krishnas in the Ras Leela, 16,108 Krishnas in Palace of Dwarka are all Prabhav Prakash. Right? Vaibhav Prakash is the same Krishna but different bodily forms, like Balram. Right? So Krishna and Balram are same except different color, different body. Right? So that is the Vaibhav Prakash. And from Vaibhav Prakash, you have Tadekatma Rupa that expands into Vilas form, then Prabhav Vilas and Vaibhav Vilas. So Vaibhav Vilas is second set of Chaturvyuha, and they're presiding over the four directions, etc., etc. Right? And here, Tadekatma Rupa, the swarms expansions, then you have all the 6 different avatars. Lila Avatar, Purusha Avatar, Guna Avatar, Shaktavesh Avatar, Manvantara, Yuga Avatar. Right? So where are these 16,108 category? Just looking at this chart. What forms are they?
Prabhava Prakash, according to this chart.
Yes. What does Prabhupada say in the purport?
Well, Vaibhav Vilas.
And where is Vaibhav Vilas? Right here. Right? In the bottom of the screen, on the leftmost. Right? So, see, my understanding of why Prabhupada is actually saying Vaibhav Vilas is because this verse is focusing on how Krishna accepts different moods for each one of the queens. Right? So it wasn't this, here it says, Prabha Prakash as with same features. right? So here, because the verse is focusing more on slightly different features of the Lord, Prabhupada is saying it is a Vaibhav Vilas feature. But still, I'm not 100% clear on, this is just my thinking, but if someone can do further research, like, so even if you see in chapter 20, you have the same explanations of Swayam Prakash, Prabha Prakash, Vaibhav Prakash, and Tadekatma Rupa, and then Prabha Vilas is here, and then Vaibhav Vilas is right here. So Vaibhav Vilas refers to the second Chaturvya. So Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So Prabhupada is saying actually the forms are actually expansions from Vaibhav Vilas. Right? So that's a little bit we have to do a little research. So even I have my question, my notes. Okay. So homework for all of you, so you can do a little research and find out if you can find something.
Didn't you see anything in VCT's purport regarding this?
No, he
You
doesn't.
sure?
He doesn't even go into that part. Yeah. So Prashant Chakravarti just makes the point that they just accepted suitable form. He accepted each bride in marriage at the same time by the power of Yoga Maya. So, okay. Next verse, text 9. And then we'll just take a quick break. We'll just see. So that finishes our first section, right? Text 9.
Tasvapatyanya janayad atma tulyani sarvataha ekaikasyam dasha prakriter vibhubhushaya.
Just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offspring with exactly his own qualities.
So here it says, Prakritir Vibhu Bhushaya, to actually expand his own, expand his own self in one way. He actually, in each one of those 16,108, he got 10 sons. Right? So you can imagine Dwarka Krishna's family. Right? In India, like, we have sometimes like forefathers, like 6 grandparents have like 6, 7 brothers, and then you get cousins, and we hear like, oh, I have 100 cousins. 100 cousins. Imagine Krishna's children, right? And then each one of those 10, so 16,108, each one has 10 children, and each child has another 10 children. So imagine how many is the family of Krishna. Okay, so let's stop in the first section. So let's see any comments, any realizations, anyone would like to share any points from this first section, and then we'll move on to the second section.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like the point that the Lord is the only friend of the distressed.
What is the sense?
And then Lord is the only friend.
What is the sense?
Arth Bandhum.
Yeah, Bandhu means friend, Artha means one in distress.
And how the association is so important, Prabhuji.
Association is so important, right? Even someone who's born of Dhaitri, Mother Earth, is actually becomes a demon. Okay, anything else? Other points?
I like this point. Birth is not always the criteria for goodness, Prabhu, unless we are trained in the good association, good culture and good association. One cannot become good.
I mean, it is, even in US, like I'm sure, like everyone knows, like like children born of families or friends, they're born in such good culture. But because of the influence of Western culture, they go out public schools and they get all messed up, right? Breaking the 4 regulative principles as if it is just normal. So we see that. So what we are reading here, we are currently seeing. That's why with good birth, good training is actually so essential.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Atmanam manyate jagat, how we should never see others people's fault, and the list of Vishwanath Chakravarti, Siddhanta Saraswati's, like look, look yourself. Others cannot harm unless you harm them, and introspect and find fault in others. In
yourself. Yes, that's a very important point, very practical point. We see faults because the tendency, because we are conditioned, we tend to see faults. Oh, this person is doing that. Oh, he's acting out of pride. Oh, he's doing this. But introspect ourselves. Like, so for that person, his guru will take care. It's between him and Krishna. But if you're in that position of guru, that's a different thing. But just in general, you should just focus, introspect, think about ourselves. Why am I seeing this? Because I probably have a tint of that quality, and that's why I'm seeing it now. That's anything else, anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The Lord is not ingrateful even if you do a small service.
Any little service that Lord is actually always grateful. And that's actually the mood of a devotee also, like how I gave Prabhupada's example. In little services done, Prabhupada is like, oh, see, he brought toilet tissue. He's doing service for Krishna. Yeah. That's the mood.
I also really like how Krishna expands himself slightly differently for each princess. And it just reminds me that Krishna, he's able to be so personal with each one of us. Like we each have a different relationship with Krishna, and he'll have there's a specific Krishna for each one of us, that will match our bhava, or our relationship with Krishna.
Very nice point.
Prabhuji, I also want to add that Krishna is fully independent. The people say that, oh, your God has 16,108 wives. He was reciprocating with the queens because he was not pleased by their beauty, he was pleased by their devotional service.
Nice, Martin. Thank you. Good point.
Hare Krishna. I wanted to say Krishna is so personal, like Mataji said, and he is the only Krishna can satisfy everyone, and nobody can do that. Like how Krishna is like going in a minute details and providing everything to them in a personal way that only Krishna only can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very nice, Mata. Yeah, because such a good point, right? So Krishna not only like 16,108 palaces, but every form of Krishna is actually suited to that particular way. So wonderful that Krishna is so personal. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. We'll go to the next section also. 5 verses we'll do. It's all stories. So we can continue and then we'll take a break. Okay, so text 10.
Yeah, it's oh, sorry. I just calculated it's 1.6 million grandchildren, bro. Like
That's good, bro.
Sorry.
That's good. No, 6 million. Go ahead.
Kalamagadha Shalvadin Anikai Rundata Puram Ajighanad Swayam Divyam Swapumsam Teja Adishat.
Kalyavana, the king of Magadha, and Salva attacked the city of Mathura. But when the city was encircled by their soldiers, the Lord refrained from killing them personally, just to show the power of his own men.
So here it says Kala. Kala referring to Kalyavana. Magadha referring to king of Magadha. Who's that? Jarasandha. And then Shalva, we know Shalva. And Adin, others. So others, they Puram, they actually attacked the city of Mathura, right? Attacked the city of Mathura. And then Ajignath, right? Swayam. And then, so he himself killed, or Swapumsam. He actually got them killed by others. So here, like either he killed himself or he actually. So Prabhupada in the translation is focusing more on how one point, which actually beautifully brings out in the purport, the Lord refrained from killing them personally, just to show the power of his own. Right? So who killed Jarasandha?
Bhima.
Bhima.
Right? And so Jarasandha was actually killed by Bhima. So just to show, so Prabhupada in the purport actually stresses on this point, the Lord can kill anyone, right? In a moment, one fist and dead. But when Kalyavana, so the situation was Kalyavana and Jarasandha, they actually attacked at the same time, right? So what was happening? Jarasandha was attacking Mathura, right? So he came with his entire army, with so many Akshayinis, right? He came, and then Krishna defeated him, right? There's this Krishna and Balaram, they went, they had their chariot, they fought all the Akshayini, and then they defeated everything. And then when it was like Jarasandha, it was time to kill Jarasandha, Krishna actually left. And why? Because he told Balaram that, let him go, because then he'll come back, he'll bring more enemies. That way we don't have to go everywhere and kill. Like they'll just keep coming and we can kill. 17 times Jarasandha, he went back, brought enemies, and attacked Mathura again and again and again. Right? But the 18th time when he actually did this, then actually Kalyavana also attacked from the other side. Right? Then Krishna was thinking about his own associates in Mathura. That one side we have Jarasan, one side we have Kalyavana. Right? So both of them are attacking. What to do? What did Krishna do? He ran away. And hence he is known as Ranchor. Right? So Prabhupada talks about that also. Krishna is known as Ranchor. He ran away from the battle. So in Nectar of Devotion, what was one quality we discussed about Krishna? Already one of the 64?
Grateful.
Grateful. Now, second quality here is Krishna is self-satisfied. Self-satisfied in the sense that here Krishna is not concerned about his own fame, because he's all famous. So he actually likes to give credit to his devotees. Right? So he became Ranchor. He just ran away from the battle, and then they went to the mountain. And first, actually, Jarasandha was following Krishna. Sorry, Kalyavana was following Krishna, right? And Krishna was running, and then he ran into the cave, and then he just hid himself. And then it appeared as if Krishna was lying down. And then when Kalyavana came, who was there? Muchukunda, right? Who had a boon from the demigods that I just want to sleep for a long time. Because he had fought so many battles, he just comes and says, I just want to take rest, right? So he was sleeping, and then demigods blessed him that anyone who wakes you up just by your vision, that person will be killed, right? And then so Muchukunda, Kalyavana thought that Muchukunda is Krishna. He's lying down here, right? And then he came and he wakes up Muchukunda, and Muchukunda just wakes up, and immediately Kalyavana is destroyed. So he gives Muchukunda credit here of killing Kalyavana. And then later on, Muchukunda, he actually sees Lord Shri Krishna, and he has devotion. His devotion for Lord Shri Krishna is awakened in his heart. Right? So that is one story. And then Jarasan, we know the story of how Bhima, he actually killed Jarasan. So Prabhupada in the purpose said, the relationship of the Lord with his devotees is a very happy one. The relationship between the Lord and his devotees is very happy one. Why? Because there's no competition. The Lord wants to give credit to the devotees, and devotees want to always give credit to the Lord, always want to glorify the Lord. So both sides, there's no envy. So it is such a happy relationship, right? Yeah. And then Prabhupada also gives what other examples can we think of the Lord giving credit to his devotees?
Arjun.
Arjun. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he says he gave credit to Arjun, Nimitta Matram Bhavasya. So in Kal Rupa, he said, everyone has been killed. But Arjun, you take credit. You take credit. Who else?
In Bhishma, when he was about to die, he let him speak about everything. I vaguely remember from it.
So Bhishma, right, at his deathbed, he actually wanted to give credit to Bhishma, and hence even Yudhishthir, he heard from Krishna. Still, he could not give up that pain of so many people getting killed just because of him. And only when he heard Bhishma's word, then he felt consoled. So yes, he gave credit to Bhishma. Very nice example. What else?
Hanuman.
Hanuman, yeah. Lord Ramchandra gave credit to Hanumanji.
Mahaprabhu is telling to Ramananda Rai, speaking, let him speak.
That's a good one. Yeah, he's like Ramana Rai says, you're like the puppet.
You are my puppeteer, and I'm just a puppet.
Just the string is moving, but the credit goes to you. But yeah, he glorified Ramana Rai. Right? So many examples. So Krishna is self-satisfied. He never needs like any kind of fame or anything. Normally, any task is done. I did this. Krishna is like, no, you take the credit. I don't need all this because I am self-satisfied. Okay, next verse.
Lord Chaitanya could have spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, but he gave the credit to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, that we couldn't have continued without that example of Srila Prabhupada. But I wrote that in my notes. Arjun, Hanuman, Srila Prabhupada. So yes, thank you. Text 11.
Shambaram dvividam banam muram balvalam evacha anyamscha dantava kradhin avadhitkamscha ghatayat.
Hare Krishna translation. O of kings like Sambara, Dvida, Bana, Mura, Balwala, and many other demons, such as Dantavakra. Some he killed himself and some he caused to be killed by others, Sri Baladeva, etc.
So if you see in the Sanskrit also Samvara, Dvida, Bana, Mura, we see all these demons, right? So he himself killed or he got others. So first we are just reading. So text 10 and 11 is how Krishna killed so many different demons. Okay, next text 12.
Atate bhratriputranam pakshayo patitan nripan chachala bhu kurukshetram yesham apatatam balai.
So if you just see the Sanskrit even without reading the translation, you can say Kurukshetra, right? So next, after killing this, so previous verse says he killed this and others also, right? So Vishwanath Thakur is saying that the others there. So Prabhupada says the other is referring to Baladev, etc. Killing. Oh yeah, so here also many other demons. So who are the other demons? That is actually text number 12. Right? Okay. Ataha thereafter. Okay. Continue translation. Okay, so let's just derive the translation. Atha, thereafter, Bhratrar Putranam. Who is Bhratrar Putranam here? Who is Uddhav talking to?
Pandavas and Kurus.
Yeah, but
Kauravas.
so who is Uddhav talking to? He's talking to Vidura. So he's saying, Vidura, your Bhatra Putranam, your brother's sons. Right? Your brother is brother, your brother. Pakshayo, both sides. Patitan. Both sides. There were so many people killed, right? And Chachala. Then these kings were so powerful that they actually, just by the strength, when they actually walked on the battle of Kurukshetra, the entire earth shook. Chachala. Right? So we derive the translation. But let's read. Who's next?
Vijaya Mataji.
Then, O Vidur, the Lord caused all the kings, both the enemies and those on the side of your fighting nephews, to be killed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. All those things were so great and strong that the earth seemed to shake as they traversed the warfield.
So powerful, just they're walking and the whole earth is shaking. Right? Text 13.
Sakarna dusha shana sobhalanam humantrapakena hata shriyas yusham suyodhanam sanucharam shayanam bhagnor urvyam nananandavashyan.
Translation, Hare Krishna. Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intricacy of ill advice given by Karna, Dushasana, and Saubala. When he lay on the ground with his followers, his thighs broken, although he was powerful, the Lord was not happy to see the scene. Hare Krishna.
So the Sanskrit says, Na nananda pasyan. The Lord was he was not happy to see Duryodhan lying down, Urum, with his thigh broken. Okay, so those who have not read the purport, you can actually answer this question. Then why is the Lord not happy when Duryodhan is actually lying with his broken thighs on the battlefield of Kurukshetra?
Every living entity Krishna loves. Every living entity are Krishna's parts and parts.
Okay, and then any other point? Okay, the second point is a little bit hard to guess, but the main point that Prabhupada actually focuses in the purport is that the Lord, he gives punishment to everyone based on their activities that they do. Right? So if they are doing some sinful activities, the Lord is just, because he has a system of karma, they do bad activities, you get the sinful reactions. But is the Lord pleased to see the sinful reactions? No, he loves everyone. So even though Duryodhana did all the wrongs that he did, he hurt his own devotees, the Pandavas, but when Duryodhana was actually lying down with his thigh broken, Bhagna means Urum, his thighs were actually broken. And when he was lying, the Lord was feeling sad. He was feeling like, oh, see how he's suffering for his own acts. but he's also my part and parcel. I don't like to see my own part and parcel actually, suffering. Right? So Prabhupada says, he is harder than the thunderbolt for the wrongdoer and softer than the rose for the faithful. So we are reading like so many qualities of the Lord, right? So the third quality that we are discussing here, it says, the Lord is harder than a thunderbolt. So if anyone does wrong, no excuse. You will be subjected to the laws of karma. You will get the punishment, except if you surrender, right? So if you are faithful, then the Lord is so soft. Oh, in spite of sarva dharma parityajya mam ekam sharanam aham tam sarva papebhyo, he becomes sarva pape. He takes away all our papa. He becomes softer than a rose for those who are faithful, right? So what is the surest path to happiness? Prabhupada said, the surest path to happiness is to live by the principles laid down by the Lord and not disobey the laws. Right? Surest path to happiness. Just follow the principles of the Lord. You'll be happy and you'll go back home, back to God. Okay, next, let's go further and I'll talk about the second.
Prabhuji, I have a question, Prabhuji. Like here they mention the Duryodhana's name as Suyodhan. So was his name as Suyodhan, Prabhuji, and Dushashan's name like Sushasan?
So
And
here,
because of their behavior, name was given to them?
so here, okay, so we didn't go through Sanskrit. So Karna is Karna, Dushashan, Dushashan. Saubalam. Saubalam, they're referring to Saubala, right? That is actually referring to
Shakuni.
Shakuni, yes, thank you, Shakuni. Yeah? That Saubala is because he was either son of Saubala or from the Saubala Rashtra, right? That is a Shakuni. And then it says, Hatha Shriya, right? So bereft of good from Ayusham, duration of life was taken. Why? Kumantra Pakena, right? Kumantra Pakena, referring to because that person, Suyodhana, right? Because he was subjected to the ill advice of Karna, Dushashan, and Shakuni, he actually was facing the consequence of listening to the ill advice of his associates. So why is the word Suyodhana also a name for Duryodhana? Like my understanding here, the word particular is used that because he actually listened to the ill advice, took the ill advice of his associates, he actually is facing the consequence. Otherwise, he would have not.
Bro, in Mahabharata it is there that they are all Suyodhana, Susashana, because obviously the mother will not give a son's name as Duryodhana, So it is mentioned in Mahabharata.
Because of their ill activities, because of following the ill advice, that Suyodhana has become Duryodhana. Right? And hence he actually faced the consequence of his ill action, which was Bhagna Uru. His thighs were broken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Thank you. Okay, next.
Yanvuvoyam Kshapita Rubharo Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Mulai Ashtadashaksho Hiniko Mad Amshar Aste Balam Durvishaham Yadunam.
Okay, so before we go, I'll share one more quality of Krishna. Like through these pastimes, we are getting to know more and more the qualities of Krishna. Right? So let's see one more quality from the previous. So what was the theme of the previous verse? That the Lord, when he sees the suffering of others, he is not happy because he loves everyone so much, right? So another quality we see, quality number 32 of the Lord is the Lord is very compassionate. Compassionate, what does it mean by compassionate? A person, you can see my screen, a person who is unable to bear another's distress is called compassionate. So the Lord could not bear the distress of Duryodhana, and hence he was not feeling happy, right? So that is compassion. So Prabhupada also in this explanation gives the example of Bhishma Pitama. That when the Lord actually, he saw Bhishma Pitama, he lying on the bed of arrows, the Lord was crying. Krishna began speaking with tears in his eyes. Not only he was shedding tears, but he also forgot himself in his compassion. That was the level of compassion of the Lord. Seeing Bhishma lying down on the bed of the arrows, tears were flowing from his eyes. And not only that, so much compassion that he forgot, who am I? He's just feeling so much sorry for Bhishma, right? And then the other example that's given here, the kings imprisoned by Magadendra. were put in dark cells. So this is another pastime in the 10th canto where the kings were actually captured, how they sent a letter to Krishna, and then Krishna released the kings again only because of sincere compassion. And in this, towards the last, Prabhupada gives this wonderful point, right? That where is this compassion coming from? Where is the mood of compassion of the Lord coming from? Someone wants to say? What is the focus of this month?
Damodar Leela.
Okay, but what is the focus of this month? Who is the focus of this month?
Srimati Radharani.
Yashoda Maya.
Srimati Radharani. I was looking for that.
Radharani.
So Prabhupada, what does he say in this purport? See, therefore, instead of offering obeisances to Krishna directly, devotees offer obeisance to his compassionate nature. And who is actually giving that compassionate nature to Krishna? Actually, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is very difficult to approach him. But the devotees taking advantage of his compassionate nature, which is represented by whom? Srimati Radharani. Always pray to Radharani for Krishna's compassion. So the compassionate nature of Krishna is represented by Srimati Radharani. And hence in this month, it is actually such a powerful month because it is the month of Srimati Radharani. So when we approach, we do any devotional service in this month, Radharani, because that's her, she is the personified compassionate nature of Krishna, she immediately reciprocates. She gives multiple 1,000 times rewards, right? So that is the compassionate nature of Krishna is represented by Srimati Radharani.
Prabhuji, what was the reference that you were sharing? Could you please?
Nectar of Devotion, college number 32.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, text 14. We read the Sanskrit. Let's go to the English.
After the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, "The abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshahinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden."
So previous verse, I asked this question: why is the Lord not happy? So one point we said because the Lord's compassionate nature. Second point is because Krishna had killed all these demons, and finally he came to the battle of Kurukshetra. He killed the other demons, both on Duryodhana's side and Yudhishthira's side. Like so many people were killed, right? And then now one may say that okay, now all the demons are actually killed. Yudhishthira established as a king. Done. The task of the Lord is over, right? But still the Lord is not happy. Why? Because this verse starts with what? Kiyan, what is this? Bhuva, on the earth, there is still a burden left, right? The burden of all these demons, everyone concluded with the battle of Kurukshetra, but he's saying still there is a burden left. And who is that? Mata Amshahi, with my descendants, are still there. Aste are still there. Balam, Grace said, Durvi Saham, unbearable, Yaduna. Right? So what is this? Right? So the earth's burden with 18 Akshahinis have been destroyed by Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden. So why is the Yadu dynasty a burden? Right? I mean, they are not demons. They are, Krishna is here in this verse is clearly saying, Mata Amshahi, my own descendant. How can they be unburdened? Right? So that's the focus that Prabhupada actually explains in this verse, and also Chakravarti Pad is, Prabhupada also says, explaining from Chakravarti Pad, what is the burden here, right? Okay, so before we go to that, Prabhupada actually says, what causes the earth to be overburdened? Okay, maybe you all can answer. What causes we discussed one point particularly before. What causes the earth to be overburdened?
Irreligion.
Irreligion, okay. What else?
When the people are not working to satisfy the desires of Krishna, they are working for their own pleasure.
Okay. Okay, irreligion again, yes.
When the devotees suffer by others.
Okay.
When the cows and the brahmanas and
Okay, so that's a good point. The cows and the brahmanas, when they are actually hurt. And so in religion, we got cows and the brahmanas, they are hurt. Certainly, those are actually certainly burdens on the earth. Right? We had discussed one point, that the earth can tolerate everything except a lie spoken by someone. This is actually one of the verses. It's not in Bhagavata, but we had discussed this point before. It comes in that section of the dharma and the in the first canto, right? Dharma and the earth, that conversation, that the Mother Earth cannot tolerate a lie spoken, and now everyone is openly speaking lies, right? So Prabhupada says it is not these mountains or so many human beings that cause the earth to be burdened. It's not this weight that causes the earth to be burdened. What causes the earth to be burdened is actually the dharma glani, or the irregular discharge of the lost desire. So what is the lost desire for this material creation? Who remembers our keywords, our acronym? What is the lost desire for this material world? Why has the Lord created this material world?
RRA.
Rectify the rebellion.
the rebellions.
RRA, right? And then there was a second part to it. RRA followed by that Ratna Radhika had asked on the group.
Rectify rebellious.
Yeah, so that is accepted. So RRA is what? To rectify the rebellious attitude of all conditioned souls. That's the purpose of creation. Right? Rectify rebellious attitude of each one of us. How do we do it? Prabhupada says in the one line of purpose. We have, Lord created this to rectify our rebellious attitude by REDS. Re-engaging in direct service to the Lord. Re-engaging in direct service to the Lord. So that's the purpose. So anyone who goes against the purpose, that is actually a burden to the earth. So that's how Prabhupada explains. Okay. Now the point we're discussing is the burden. So Prabhupada says there are two kinds of burden. Right? One is the burden of the beast, and the other is the burden of love. Right? So when a mother is holding a child on her lap, is that a burden? One way, it is the weight on the, like even if the child is a little grown up out of motherly affection, right? The mother may have the child sitting on her lap. And yes, child may be heavy like his grown-up child, but still. But does the mother feel it? No, it is a burden. Yes, it is a burden, but it's a burden of love. So happily, the mother actually accepts the child. And then another example that Prabhupada gives is when a woman wears heavy jewelry. Is it a burden? Yes. But it's a burden of love. It is like, there's a purpose behind it. Right? So that's a Prabhupada gives. That's not my example. So don't blame me for that. But here, so there's a burden of love and the burden of a beast. So here when the verse says, oh, what about the burden by the Yadus? The Lord is actually thinking that this is the burden of love. That Mother Earth is actually holding this burden of love. But what needs to be done with this burden? All right. What needs to be done? That's the Lord's contemplation. Right? So, Prabhupada actually explains. So he says that actually, from the viewpoint of heaviness, are sources of pleasure, and in the absence of such burdensome objects, one may feel the burden of separation. So when there is the burden of love, that is the burden of separation. Right? So Krishna is actually thinking of this point, that when the Yadus leave, then who will bear that burden of separation? And that burden of separation is actually more painful than the entire other burden of the beast. Entire burden of the beast. So for Mother Earth, we have read this before, right? In that same section that I referred in the first canto. Why was Mother Earth crying? What was the final reason that she gave in the first canto?
The Lord who has walked on my body. I have always had his association 24 hours, always.
And now
He has gone.
Separation. So that separation is more painful than all the separation of all these enemies. The separation of from the Lord and his associates. So Mother Earth, how will she tolerate? She actually came to Brahma and prayed for me to descend. I have taken on the burden of beast, but how will she be able to tolerate that burden of love or the burden of separation? And that's what the Lord is actually thinking. Okay, is that okay? That point, burden of separation. Okay, so this is our second section. Okay, let's just do one more verse and then we'll take a break. So that completes this section. But the burden of beast and burden of love is okay? Yes, okay. So that's, he's thinking like Mother Earth, how will she bear that burden of separation? Okay. 15.
Mito yadaisham bhavita vivado madvam madatam ravilochananam naisham vadopaya iyanatonyo mayudyatentardatate swayam sma. Pratana Mataji.
When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper because of drinking madhu, then only will they disappear, otherwise it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. Thank you.
So basically Krishna is thinking, like all the Yadus are here. They are so powerful that no one can defeat them. Right? No one can defeat them. But Krishna has to take the Yadavas also. He's getting ready to wrap up his pastime. So how will he take the Yadavas? Right? So he says, Mita yada esham bhavita vivadaha. Unless they quarrel amongst themselves. It's not possible that the Yadavas will actually be taken away from the surface of the earth. So the only reason is to they can quarrel when they quarrel amongst themselves. And when will the Yadavas quarrel among themselves? They are all associates of the Lord. So when will they quarrel among themselves? The only possibility that they'll quarrel among themselves is when they get intoxicated. So hence the word is used, madhu amada. When they get intoxicated and then forget themselves, then they are going to fight. Otherwise, they are not going to fight. So first is, only when they fight can they actually destroy each other. No one can destroy the Yadavas. They are so powerful. Second point is, they will fight only when they are intoxicated. So this verse is saying, when they quarrel, when they are intoxicated, madhu amada, right? Then it will be vada upaya. That is the means of their disappearance. And then ataha anya. Otherwise, there is no means of their disappearance. Right? Okay, so that's this verse here. And then mai udyata. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. So after Krishna disappears, then this incident will actually take place. Okay, so there's some nice points here, but we'll take a break and then we'll come back and just then come back through these points and we'll continue the rest of the chapter. Okay, any comments up to this point? Realizations?
Prabhuji, I like that how Lord is so compassionate and his compassion is represented by Srimati Radharani.
Thank you, and that's why this month is so powerful, so wonderful. Any other points?
Prabhuji, is it like because the Yadavas is supposed to be vanquished from this because the separation from the Lord for them, it was so painful, so the separation, so they might have vanquished all the other people from the earth because of the separation, because the Lord was not there.
I didn't follow your point, Mati. So you're saying that, can you repeat, please?
Yes, I wanted to say like the Yadavas, after
Yeah.
the Lord, because they left before the Lord, right? Or the simultaneously it happened the pastime. The Lord also finished his pastimes and went to the back to God there. And others, they were the descendants of the Lord. They were in such a separation, and it was so hard for them to tolerate that separation. And in that anger, they would have vanquished the whole Mother Earth, other citizens or people like that. So
Mm.
that's why it was important for them also to go back.
Mm. Is that like this is a comment, Mati?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
But is that the reference, like, is that point given, Mati? I have not heard this point. That
Yes, Prabhuji, I heard it one of the lecture. Like they were mentioning that the separation was very severe, so they couldn't tolerate it actually.
okay. So we have to analyze this. So anyway, I'll comment on this a little bit more after we come back from a break. But that's a good point to think about. At least here in the commentary, we don't see that. Maybe in 11th canto when it's described. Because this finally in 11th canto, this will be described in further detail, right? This Mosala Leela is in 11th canto. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mati. That's a good point to think about. Anyone else? Any point? We'll take a break.
Prabhu, I was wondering about the Prabhava and Prakash and that context. That even in Rasa Leela, there were gopis who have different moods, right? There were Vamika, there is, all the variety Chandravali's.
Okay.
So in that case, also Krishna was with them in their according to their mood.
Yes.
So practically these two examples are almost the same, So
it should be Prakash Prabha, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
If it is not Prakash Prabhav, then both of them should come in the same category, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So still that question is there.
Maybe there is only one difference, Prabhu, because Prabhu Prakash is only in Golok.
No, not
in
necessarily.
Vrindavan.
Not necessarily, right? Because in that example, it says, like Chaitanya Charitamrita says, even the expansions in Dwarka. So the example is given like Krishna's expansion in Gopis and Krishna's expansions for the queens of Dwarka.
Oh, I just read the VCD purport of the 10th canto of the Panchodhyaya where the Gopi Gita is there. So in that, he was saying that Krishna was not really, it was not an Aishwarya Leela to be in the Rasa. He was so swift in moving from one Gopi to another that they thought that Krishna is always with them. He was so quick, because if it is like, if he expands himself, it will be like expansions and all those, Prakash. I can share you with that purport. It's very interesting. It's like, because it is not possible that Krishna is doing some Aishwarya in Vrindavan, on the Rasa Leela that to be, because these gopis have zero idea of Aishwarya, So if that is true, then that means Prabhav Prakash is not there either. I was like very confused after.
Yeah, so this we'll have to research more about it.
This TLC, let's say.
Maybe Laghu Bhagavatam might be a good book to research more into this.
Oh, Laghu Bhagavatam.
Because that has so much about all expansions.
But the Krishna's dealings with gopis and the queens in Dwarka cannot be exactly the same, because gopis are the more
yes.
the
One is with Aishwarya and one is with Madhuri. That is for sure. Yes. Okay. Okay. So any other points? And then this will have to research a little bit. Okay. So let's take a quick break. Let's come back in 5 minutes and we'll continue the rest of our chapter. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One more time again, a little louder. time, everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So please come back. We'll continue with Krishna's pastimes outside Vrindavan. Okay, so in the previous verse, the 2 points, Prabhupada in the purport, he actually explains this point. He says the Lord and his associates, they appear and disappear out of the will of the Lord. It is only the Lord's desire when they have to appear, when they have to disappear. So when the main point here, it was the Lord's desire that the Yadavas now return back home, back to Godhead. So because the Lord actually desired that, hence he actually created this make show of fight. So it wasn't like a real fight where they got intoxicated. It was all Krishna's plan, right? And towards the end of this chapter, we'll see how their point is really stressed to make us understand that it's not possible for the Yadavas to actually drink, get intoxicated, and fight among themselves. It is only out of Krishna's plan. And Prabhupada gives the example, how Arjun, is there any possibility for Arjun to go into illusion? Never. He is a pure devotee of the Lord, he associates with the Lord. But Krishna put Arjun into illusion, so that Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Similarly, Krishna put the Yadavas into this intoxicated state so that the final disappearance pastime could actually take place, right? So that's the first point that Prabhupada says. The second point Prabhupada actually makes here is how the devotees and the associates of the Lord are completely surrendered souls. They are just transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord. So what the Lord wants, they will actually act in that way. So the Lord wants, okay, you actually drink, become intoxicated, fight amongst inside, and then leave. The devotees will happily accept that because they are transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord. So Prabhupada makes a point. If you really want to be happy, what should we try to become? Transcendental instruments in the hand of the Lord. That means just we want to nimitta matra. Whatever is the Lord's desire, we just want to become an instrument. And that's the way we can actually be happy. Right? So devotees of the Lord never assert independent individuality. On the other hand, they use their individuality to actually act as instruments in the service of the Lord. Right? Very important point. So everyone is back? Or everyone needs a longer break? Okay, everyone, please come back. I know it is 1 hour later now. It's actually 10:15, so maybe devotees are more hungry or whatever, but just tolerate half hour more. We'll bring the nectar of Bhagavatam, and then after that, we can.
Only 2 minutes I took a break. Only 2
You're
minutes.
back. Okay. That's good, Mati. So, okay. Okay, so this point is okay. So our desire right now in our life is somehow or other act as instruments in the hands of the Lord. If we can become instruments, our life is successful. We'll be happy, our life is successful, right? So somehow or other, understand the desire of the Lord and act in such a way as we are instruments in the hands of the Lord. So here Prabhupada is making the point that certainly all these Yadavas are just transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord. So everything what they did is nothing a flaw on the path of the Yadavas. They are drinking, getting intoxicated, fighting. It is all a Leela. All a Leela. Right? So that point has to be very clear. Okay. Okay, next verse. So the Lord is thinking, okay, the Yadavas have to show this disappearance Leela, right? So what did the Lord actually do after that? So text 16. Let's just do the English so we can go fast. Go ahead. Next. Yeah.
It's my turn, right, Mataji?
Yes.
Yes, the 15th verse.
16.
Oh, sorry, 16. Yes. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Shri Krishna, thus thinking to himself, established Maharaja Yudhishthir in the position of the supreme control of the world in order to show the idol of administration on the path of piti. Hare Krishna.
Right? So it says, Evam Sanchintya. So Lord was thinking in this way that, okay, now is the final pastimes, like Duryodhana has been killed, all the enemies have been killed. So now the time of final pastime. Then what did he say? Okay, I need to Swarajya Stapya. It was his own Rajya, right? Yudhishthira's own Rajya. And he was actually established as the Dharmaraj. Right? And Nandayam Asa Sudrada. And that way, to the sadhus and the friends of Krishna, he actually gave Nanda, Ananda, right? Bliss, right? So he gladdened the hearts of his friends and his devotees by establishing Yudhishthira as the king and then Vartama Darshayan. And by that, he's actually showing the path of piety for everyone, right? By establishing Yudhishthira as the king, he's showing everyone this is the way an ideal king should be. This is the way an ideal ruling should actually take place, right? Okay, next 17.
Karuna, just translate.
Karuna Mataji, are you there?
Gopinath Bhai, please.
Is that me, Mataji?
No, Gopinath.
Okay.
The embryo of Puru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu in the womb of Uttara, his wife, was burned by the weapon of the son of Drona, but later he was again protected by the Lord.
So what is the next thing? After Yudhishthira was established the king, we have read this past time, right? Uttaran Dritaha Puroho, right? And then Vamsaha Sauda Abhimanyu. So Abhimanyu had conceived with Uttara, and in their child was who? Puroho, the descendant of the Puru dynasty, right? And then what happened? Drauni Astra, we read this in the first canto. Drauni Astra is what? The weapon of Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, right? That actually came and it burned the body of Parikshit Maharaj, but Krishna personally entered and protected him, right? So Punar Bhagavata Dritaha. Dritaha means protected, but was protected by Krishna himself. Now Prabhupada in the purport makes an excellent point. He says this is the direct proof that the body and the living entity are different. So without looking at the purport, just think about this. How is Prabhupada making a point that because the Ashwatthama's Astra, the Astra actually came and it destroyed the womb, the descendant of Puru, and then it said that Krishna actually saved him. So how does this actually make the point that this is a direct proof of the body and the spirit soul are different?
Because Krishna can give another body to the embryo, right? to the soul. So that shows that body was destroyed, but Krishna gave another body to Maharaj Parikshit.
So the point that Prabhupada is actually explaining is that when the Astra actually came and then it actually destroyed the womb, the body in the womb, it was basically the body that was destroyed. Because if the entire thing, even the spirit, soul, and body are not different, if that was destroyed, then again Abhimanyu would have to come and give the seed. Right? So that means the seed which was given by Abhimanyu was not destroyed. Right? So hence this proves that the body and the spirit soul are actually separate. So Prabhupada is so expert. Like
in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, that the soul is not destructible by fire, no weapons. So, so this is the soul the Lord is saving.
No, but how from this pastime Prabhupada is saying, this instance is a direct proof that the body and the soul is different. Right? Yes, Bhagavad Gita philosophy is there. Where is the proof? This is a proof. That the weapon came, destroyed it, but still, the Lord came and he actually gave another body, but the soul was never destroyed. Right? So this is a proof of the verse you quoted in Bhagavad Gita. Right? And Prabhupada here actually elaborates on how, when after the seed is conceived, after the seed enters the womb, then how the body is formed, complete body comes. And the Astra came and destroyed the body, and then Krishna came, Dritaha. Actually, the word it uses is Punaha, again for the second time, Prabhupada says. Second time means what? that even initially the body is given by whom? It's actually given by Krishna itself. Right? And Punaha, the second time Krishna had to come and he gave the body again, and then he gave his own darshan. Right? So, okay, next verse. And then Prabhupada also makes the point that how Parikshit is not an ordinary living entity, and the Lord personally wanted to give darshan to Parikshit Maharaj, hence he actually entered into the womb. So Lord was both within Uttara and also outside. Hence he's omnipresent. He's within and without. Right? He's within and without. Okay, 18.
The Supreme Lord induced the son of Dharma to perform 3 horse sacrifices, and Maharaj Yudhishthir, constantly following Krishna, the personality of Godhead, protected and enjoyed the earth, assisted by his younger brothers.
So here it says, Ayajaya Dharma Sutam. Who is Dharma Sutam? Yudhishthir. And then it says, Ashwamedas, which is it? 3. So the Lord actually induced Yudhishthir to perform 3 Ashwamedha Yagyas. And then how did he actually do it? So the important word that Prabhupada actually focuses in this purport is Anuvrata. I'm sure you have heard this word before. What does Anuvrata mean? To follow in the vrata or the footsteps of. Because Yudhishthir Maharaj was actually following in the footsteps of Lord Shri Krishna, hence he's the ideal king. Right? So Prabhupada actually makes a point in the purport. Again, going back, what is the purpose of creation? Arare. Right? Arare. So if the king is actually acting in such a way that the jivas get a chance to actually do arare, then the king is actually a representative of the Lord. And because Yudhishthira Maharaj was constantly following Krishna, hence he was the ideal king. And that is a sign of an ideal representative of the Lord. Right? And then also this verse says Anujahi. Anujahi means with his younger brothers, Yudhishthir and the other 4 younger brothers. What did they do? Rakshan, Reme. So they actually protected and enjoyed the earth. So when one acts as an ideal representative of the Lord, then he can enjoy the earth. Why is that? Because when one is acting as a representative, the earth actually will give all different kinds of resources. Right? All the minerals, the rivers will flow, with a lot of water, minerals, everything will be perfect. Why? Because the king is acting as a representative of the Lord. Right? Okay. So Krishna actually, so up to this point, what did we read? Krishna established Yudhishthira as the emperor. We read how Parikshit Maharaj, the son of the descendant of Puru dynasty, was protected. And third, how Krishna induced Yudhishthira to perform 3 horse sacrifices. Okay, next verse, 19.
Simultaneously, the personality of Godhead enjoyed life in the city of Dwaraka strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society. He was situated in detachment and knowledge as enunciated by the Sankhya system of philosophy.
Right. So simultaneously, so Yudhishthir was the emperor and Krishna was the king of Dwarka. Now, when you say Yudhishthir was the emperor, that means he was the emperor of everyone. So even King Krishna was like a subordinate king to Yudhishthir. And Krishna then, I am the supreme personality of God. He accepted that position of being a subordinate king to Yudhishthir, right? And when he was actually playing that role of being a subordinate king, then he acted in such a way, strictly in conformity with the Vedic customs of society, right? So he did everything according to the Vedic system. Right? So when Krishna comes, he sets the right example for everyone. So even when he's as a king, he actually acts as a perfect king. Right? Perfect king. Now the next part is actually interesting. He was situated in detachment and knowledge, right? As enunciated by the Sankhya. So Sankhyam Asitaha. So he was actually situated in Sankhya with knowledge and detachment. So the point here is also in the Sanskrit, it says Kaman Si Seva. He's enjoyed the necessities of life without attachment. Okay, now here's a question for all of you. How can you enjoy necessities of life without attachment? Very practical question. how can you enjoy necessities of life without attachment?
Like prasadam, when we enjoy the prasadam.
Okay. So can you elaborate? Like, what does it mean? Like, okay, enjoy the necessities of life without attachment.
So whatever, the thing that comes to my mind is there is a temple in southern India where they make prasadam without salt. And so because it is prasadam, we just enjoy it, even though it is without salt.
Yeah, I've seen some temples have that mood of like, yes, if it is prasadam, it has to be austere, no salt. And that is their conception. At least by mercy of Prabhupada, we don't have to eat prasadam without salt, as we won't survive. So we can enjoy. So here the point is we enjoy the necessities, but how do we do it without attachment? What does it mean to be attached? Yeah, good.
Yeah, feeling it as it's our own.
Okay.
That is when the attachment will come.
Right. So attachment means we are like emotionally like involved with that object. Right. Sunday feast prasadam, like you're serving, and then there's your favorite sweet is right there, or favorite preparation is there, right? You're serving, right? And then you're doing your service, but what is your thinking in your mind? Will it be left for me or not? Right? Emotionally, you're attached to it. Right? So here, when it says that you can enjoy the things without attachment, means yes, yeah, whatever food is there, you're offering to Krishna, you enjoy it. No wrong, nothing wrong with that, right? But don't be attached in the sense like, okay, you have cooked a nice feast, and then I come to your house, and you're like, if I give him my food, then what will I eat? You know. So emotionally, and without attachment means, okay, if someone comes, I have to serve it out, I'm willing to do that, right? And without attachment also means that we are just accepting what is necessity for us. This is Krishna's prasadam. He's giving us for our maintenance, so we don't overeat, right? Overeat. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpa niyamagra. We don't do all these things. We accept whatever is coming as Krishna's mercy, and we say, thank you, Krishna. Accept it with a mood of gratitude. So we enjoy prasadam with the mood of gratitude, then there is no question of attachment, right? And this is true not only at food, but anything that we do in our life. We accept the necessities of our life, but we accept that in the mood of gratitude that this is Krishna's mercy upon me. And because Krishna is giving it, at some time Krishna may take it out, still, it is still Krishna's mercy. Krishna's giving or Krishna's taking something is all Krishna's mercy. And hence, that is our mood of detachment, understanding that Krishna is the proprietor of everything. Right? So it's a nice point to meditate on. How can we actually enjoy the necessities? So we don't deny the enjoyment, because anything that's done in connection to Krishna, we can enjoy. That's our enjoyment, right? We are enjoying, our nature is Anandamaya Bhyasa. We want to be happy, but we be happy by accepting everything as Krishna Prasadam, right? So that's the point there. And then let's see what else. So here in this verse, it actually says about
True, the verse is talking about Krishna's moods, right? Like how he is. Can you explain that?
so how he is actually acting in that mood of knowledge and detachment, right? So that's the verse, and how he himself is actually following Sankhya philosophy, right? So here, and actually in the next verse also we'll see. Right. So here actually the point is said. See, the main point is said that Krishna is an ideal king, right? And then this Gyan and Vairagya are two of the vibhutis of the Lord, right? So Krishna is actually manifesting those vibhutis even when he's actually ruling, right? So how do we understand? See, knowledge path is easy, right? Krishna is acting with knowledge. Detachment part, how do we understand? You know, like Krishna is actually, he has a family man, so many children. How many great-grandchildren? Venkat Prabhu just calculated 1.6 million, right? So he's doing everything, but not in the spirit of attachment, just detached. Okay? I am playing the rule a role of an ideal husband, ideal king. I will do it as a matter of duty. So Krishna is acting as a matter of duty. Anyway, like, this is more of Krishna setting the example for each one, how we should act in this world. But in that point, he's actually displaying two of his opulences, the Vairagya and the Gyan aspect.
Prabhuji, if we read in the Krishna book, this chapter, then Krishna was playing the role as a perfect householder. He used to get up in the Brahma Muhurta and meditate on himself.
Yes.
He was setting the perfect example how to live a householder's life.
Yes. Right. That's a good point.
Prabhu, regarding this detachment, we can understand like he's saying about the annihilation of his own yadus, like, I mean, practically he's thinking about killing them, right? I mean, planning. So could that be an understanding of his detachment from his family members? It is good for them, I mean,
Well, like, this will come further towards the end of this chapter. That one verse will just talk about how this aspect of the Yadus, we discussed this last class. There are two aspects to this. And this is also the question that Venkat Prabhu posted in the group, right? What is it? Demigod aspect. And the second is
eternal
associate. So what is actually happening here when Krishna is actually thinking about this, then the demigod aspect actually leaves to Prabhas Kshetra. And these are the ones who have to go back to their heavenly kingdom and continue their ruling. And those who are the eternal associates, they're still in Dwarka, but they just go from Prakat to Aprakat. They're still there, right? From visible to which is not manifest to our eyes, but they're still there. Even now, if you go to Dwarka, all these associates are still there. So when we consider disappearance, then we consider both these aspects of how Krishna planned the disappearance of both these. One is Prakat to Aprakat, and the second is the demigods fighting among themselves and going back to the heavenly kingdom. So
I mean, on the same, like, Prabhu, we actually sometime back, Aruna Mataji had posted this, that how Nityananda Prabhu being so magnanimous, how could he leave his parents? So you answered, I think, that it's the level of, because he is the utmost detached person. So this, this could also be an example of it.
Yes, so that is a point of detachment there for Nityananda Prabhu when he left his parents, or Lord Ramchandra leaving his parents.
Mahaprabhu leaving, Krishna leaving Vrindavan.
All that is actually finally to relish the deeper rasa of separation, which is like the highest. So all that is in relationship to rasa, we can understand. That is one perspective. Second perspective, we can say, is the point of detachment. Right? So both ways we can say, one is the point of detachment and one is the point of rasa. Right? So Prabhupada in the purpose says, the Lord was acting freely as he will, yet by his practical example, he taught not to lead a life which goes against principles of detachment and knowledge. Right? So he's just setting the example there of how to live a householder life. You enjoy the necessities, but still you be detached with it. Right? So that's the point I just discussed. The Lord is teaching us how to do that. And then further will come when we come to Sankhya philosophy in the third canto. Then we come to Uddhav Gita, these two philosophical sections of the Bhagavata. We will discuss this in more detail of how to live a life enjoying the necessities, but still be detached from it. Right? So entire Sankhya philosophy is actually bringing us to that point. So that'll come further in the same canto. But this point of detachment is actually so important. I was just, this week, I was reading this one verse, and we appreciate this. This is from C.C. Antilila. It says, Mahaprabhur Bhakta Ganera, Mahaprabhur Bhakta Ganera. The Bhaktas, the devotees of Mahaprabhu, they have this one quality, Pradhan. One quality. What is that? Mahaprabhur Bhakta Ganera Vairagya Pradhan. One quality, Vairagya, detachment. Yaha dekhi Prita Hana Gaura Bhagwan. Right? So here's a renunciation is the basic principle sustaining the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees. Right? So the role of importance of detachment, the Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us these two, knowledge and detachment. Right? Okay. Okay. So further, let's go for the translation.
Hare Krishna. He was there in his transcendental body, the residence of the goddess of fortune, with his usual gentle and sweetly smiling face, his nectarine words, and his flawless character.
Okay. So the previous verse, detachment, Divyanatha and Mehta, your question is explained in this verse and next verse. We read this previously also when Krishna entered into Dwarka in the first canto. How did the queens actually, they respond with Krishna, right? And there the point was actually made that it's not that Krishna is actually attracted by their beauty and by their glances and by their eyebrows movement, all that. What is Krishna attracted to? Their devotion, right? So in spite of his queens being so beautiful and having all these, but Krishna is detached. But he's just reciprocating with their devotion. It's not that attachment, it is reciprocation. Right? So that's the point. So this verse and next verse will show how Krishna, as a king of Dwarka, he was in the mood of detachment. So here it says, Snigna, and this is a very beautiful verse actually. So 4 qualities of Krishna are mentioned. Right? 4 qualities of Krishna. You can meditate on these. First is Smita Avalokena. Smita Avalokena. What does that mean? A glance with a sweet smile. Or gentle smile, right? So Smita Avalokena means a gentle glance or with a smile, right? So that's the first description of Krishna. Second description is Piyusha Kalpaya Vacha. Vacha means words. And what is the nature of the words of Krishna? Piyusha Kalpaya, just like nectar. When Krishna speaks, his words is just like nectar. So what's the first one? The first one is Smita Avalokena, gentle glance and sweet smile. Second one, his words are Piyusha Kalpaya, is just like nectar. Third one is Charitrena Anavadyena. That means his character is without any flaw. His activities or character is without any flaw. And fourth one is what? Atmana Sriniketana. His body, Atmana, his body, Atmena, transcendental body, is Sriniketana. Shri is Lakshmiji, is a residence of the goddess of fortune. Right? So 4 beautiful points about Lord Shri Krishna. So today you see each other in Sunday feast. You can ask, everyone here in the group should ask the other person, what are the 4 qualities of Krishna that we read in this verse? So gentle, smile, right? With a glance, right? So gentle, gentle, that a snigdha could be used to both. Gentle, glance with a sweet smile, right? First one. Second is Piyusha Kalpaya Vacha. Words which are as compared to nectar. Then Anavadyena Charitena. His character is without flaw. And 4 is Sriniketana Atmanaha. His body is that of the residence of the goddess of fortune. So he was there in Dwarka and he was having these 4 beautiful, sweet qualities have been mentioned. So the reason that this verse and the next verse is actually follows that point of detachment is here actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that how the Lord is not attracted by the actions of Maya Shakti, but he is attached to the actions of the Chit Shakti. That means all these exchanges, the Lord's character, everything, that is flawless. So what the Lord is doing is just out of reciprocation for his devotees and not out of attachment. Let's see the time, 9:38, right? Okay. So let's do 21. Okay, let's go ahead. 21.
The Lord enjoyed his pastimes both in this world and in other worlds, higher planets, specifically in the association of the Yadu dynasty. At leisure hours offered by night, he enjoyed the friendship of conjugal love with one.
Yeah. So now it's showing that how imam lokam amam chaiva. So he enjoyed with the 4 qualities that we mentioned in 21. He's actually enjoying with whom? Imam lokam, the devotees on the earth, or amum chaiva, the demigods in the higher planetary systems, right? And then it says, but of all those, Sutaram Yadu, specifically the Yadu. So this verse is actually talking about increasing reciprocation with different devotees, not increasing attachment. increasing reciprocation with them. So first is devotees on earth, pure devotees on earth. Second is demigods. Third is Yadavas. And then above that is the queen of the Yadavas, right? So 4 levels. So finally it says Sri referring to the woman of the queen of the queens of the Dwarka, right? And then Krishna Daya, Datashana. In the night, he used to have pleasure pastimes with the queens of Dwarka in Shana Saurada, like conjugal love and friendship. So that was his reciprocation with the kings, with the queens, right? Okay. Now next verse, 22. So the last few verses, what are we focusing on? Mataji's question, how do we see detachment in Krishna? Right? So this verse 22 will complete that point of detachment.
The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years, but at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested.
So in spite of having such reciprocation with the different devotees, right, and finally with the queens, the Lord at a particular point, he just said, okay, complete detachment, right? I have to finish my pastimes, complete detachment. So though it may appear in this statement, it says, at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested. How is the Lord attracted to sex life? That is, yes, ephemeral, like more like a griha medeshu, like household sex life, And then all of a sudden, that was awakened. So Prabhupada in the purport makes a point that even the Supreme Lord is actually showing us the example here. He's a universal teacher that one should not remain a householder for many, many years. When one performs a household duty, the duties are over, one should exhibit this complete detachment and then move into Vanaprastha life. Right? Vanaprastha life. So Lord is teaching us by that example. So while we are doing our household duties, yes, the attachment is there, but while we are going through our household, we should know we are preparing for Vanaprastha, which is the period of detachment. Right? Detachment. So we are cultivating our mind towards preparation for that detachment. Okay. So Prabhupada also makes that even during household life, the Lord exhibited detachment. It's not that we say like, okay, grihast life, attachment, and one day I say, okay, now Vanaprastha, detachment will come. No. It has to be a gradual. Even during grihast ashram, one should cultivate that mood of detachment, and then it will fully manifest in Vanaprastha ashram. Okay, so that's this. So up to this point, what have we read? Krishna in Dwarka, right? He established Maharaj Yudhishthir as a king. He protected the Parikshit Maharaj. Krishna induced Maharaj Yudhishthir to perform 3 horse sacrifices, and how Yudhishthir Maharaj was completely following the king, and hence he was actually the ideal, completely following Anuvrata Krishna, completely following Krishna, and hence he was the ideal king. And then we read about how Krishna ruled in Dwarka. He was completely following the Vedic customs, and then he ruled with knowledge and detachment. These two. And how do we say detachment? And then the next few verses, 3 verses, proves that detachment. That yes, the Lord has such sweet dealings with all the devotees, and particularly the queens. But then at a particular moment, he said, okay, that's it. His complete detachment actually awakened. And that is how the detachment of the Lord was exhibited in his Dwarka pastimes. Okay, so we are almost towards the end of the chapter, but we'll stop here since it's 43. And the last part of this is just events leading to Yadus. It will take like another 15-20 minutes and we can finish it. Like even the purpose to follow, they don't have the too long, verses to follow don't have too long purpose. It's easy, straightforward. So maybe 15 minutes next class we can finish this chapter. Okay. Stop here. The point of detachment is okay? How Krishna is exhibiting detachment. Okay, comments, realizations, questions?
The verse 20 can be a prayer when we go in front of Shri Radha Lokananda. His usual gentle and sweetly smiling face. His is flawless corrector. Your corrector is flawless. Your words are nectarian. And you have a transcendental body.
Which is Sri Niketana. That's beautiful. This is the residence of Lakshmi. So it can be a verse on meditation on the form of the Lord. Thank you. Anything else? Points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can you explain what you meant by the Vanaprastha in Krishna's life, and in general, you said it should be gradual, right? It's not one day you decide, okay, I'm going on Vanaprastha. How it can be achieved in our life?
Yeah. Even in Grahast Ashram, like we discussed this point earlier, that how in Grahast Ashram, what is our relationship with our spouse, our children, and so on, is that of affection with a level of detachment. Like even in Grahast Ashram, we have to, somehow like bring in that mood of detachment, because we should understand that this is a stage where I have certain commitments, certain attachments, certain duties, but I am actually preparing myself for the next stage, which is actually that of detachment, right? In one Vanaprastha. So that is this mood of affection. Yes, we have affection. We exhibit, the affection is natural. We have affection for our children, spouse, like all those things, right? And we have those exchanges. That's fine. But there, at that point in Grahast Ashram, that at sometimes we may have to draw a line. We have to draw a line at times when we actually say, yes, that I have affection, but at a particular point, I have to say that if this is going to become an obstacle for me to even do my basic sadhana, chanting 16 rounds, then I have to make a line and draw a line somewhere, right? So that kind of a detachment should be there. It's not that, okay, if my connections are telling me, okay, tomorrow don't chant Hare Krishna, I'm going to accept that because they are related to me. So that level of detachment should be there. And then, with the family also, if you are cultivating Krishna consciousness, with that mood of bhakti, that is naturally a mood of detachment. Detachment from what? 4 regulated principles we have, but also slightly we are detaching from sense gratification activities, and instead of watching games, movies, we are sitting with family, we are reading Bhagavatam, we are doing bhajans together. Gradually that mood should be cultivated even within the family. Like normally it's like very common. Oh, Friday night, let's sit, watch movie. Instead of, okay, Friday night, like whole family, let's go to Bhakti Vrish, let's go to programs, let's connect, have some association with devotees. And that way we are actually already exhibiting that detachment by selecting Krishna over sense gratification activities, right? And then at the time when the children are grown up, they are taking responsibilities, they have their own family, then we say, okay, I did my job, I raised them, I did my best to try to give them Krishna. Now it's just husband and wife together. We travel to holy places, maybe live close to ISKCON temple, do a lot of service in temple, and then go to the dham, visit dham, and so on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so anything else? Let's stop here. Okay, so thank you all so much. So next class we'll just finish this chapter and we'll move on to chapter 4. And this is, we are coming to the end of Uddhav's conversation with Vidura, and then we'll move on to Maitreya Rishi's conversation with Uddhav. Okay. And the next chapter is also all about Uddhav, but then after that we move to chapter 5 will be Maitreya Rishi.
So what happens to Uddhavaji after he gives this class?
He goes to Badrinarayan, because Krishna actually told him that he has to go there and he has to give the knowledge to the sages of Badrinarayan.
Badrikashram.
Badrikashram, yes.
Badrinarayan is a deity, bro.
Badrinarayan is the Badrikashram, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, just a trivia, Muchukunda's hill is in Telangana. So Venkat Prabhu would be very happy to know. Muchukunda was killed in, Kalyavan was killed in Andhra Pradesh. This is a trivia from my Guru Maharaj.
Oh, but wasn't that person in Mathura?
No, he ran so far, Prabhu. The hill is still there.
Where, Mataji?
I will tell you, Mataji. I will find out exact place, but it is in Andhra and Telangana. Any of these two. Like, it was the same thing.
In our group, there are several Andhra people are there.
Yeah. I will find out and tell you.
Okay, so thank you all so much. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpataru, Kripa Sindhu Chapatya Pavani Vaishnava. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your association.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, all devotees.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.